Well, good evening, chat. What are we even doing here? I was informed this was a nothing burger. I was informed of that months ago. We shouldn't even be talking right now. There might be a bit of an echo off the walls of my bunker as I've dug deep into the sweet, sweet earth to protect myself from all the koofers out there. Nonetheless, I shouldn't even be streaming right now. I should be back to talking about anime and manga because there's nothing happening. Oh, I heard that quite a lot when this started back in the middle of January. Repeatedly told this was a nothing burger by all the concerned trolls on Twitter, by all the 50 centers sent by the Chinese Communist government, that this was something nobody needed to pay attention to. And yet here we are. Here we are months later. Months and months and months later. Still dealing with it as it spreads rapidly across the earth, and its numbers are accelerating. Oh, woe unto those who doubted our girl. You said she couldn't do it. It wasn't possible for our little Corona Chan to take hold of the world and just keep riding it like a pony. And yet here she is. The commies came for me there. Let's see if this remedies the situation. Oh, we might be in trouble, chat. I don't know. We'll have to find out in a second here. I'm going to have to refresh some things and double check some things to see if we've been taken off the internet. I don't know if that's happening right now. Are we back? Have I made it back from the land of the land of Franzia? I don't even know where I cut out right there. Everything just went to shit. Oh yeah, that's right. You F5. Those communists aren't going to keep me off the internet. I'm going to go Liberty Prime on these motherfuckers. That's right, chat. We're back. Oh, you couldn't do it. Oh, I'm sorry, communism. You failed once again. Xi Jinping, you'll have to try harder than that. I probably shouldn't taunt him. He's probably got a backup plan ready to go. And yet, here we are. Hopefully this works out. Now, today's going to be a nice, relaxed stream. I'm going to have a proper stream on Sunday where we go over the big news items and we go over all the things that have happened. Again, I don't know where I cut off there. I was in the middle of my amazing monologue, and all of a sudden I noticed I'm talking to no one, which is a common occurrence. It's a random thing that normally happens. You're just going off, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, there's nobody around me, and I just keep talking. What the fuck's happening? I'll try to quickly sum it up. I told you so. Eat shit, commies. Oh, I told you so. I told you back in January. You motherfuckers didn't believe me. Taking your 50-cent payments, you concerned trolling motherfuckers. Well, here we are, almost in April, and this shit's wildfire. It's everywhere. You doubted she could do it, but she did. And now here we are, right in the middle of the shit. I know there are a lot of you out there listening right now. This isn't going to be an amazing stream. It's more of a catching up stream. Listen to it in the background. Treat it like a radio broadcast as you dig your bunker a few feet deeper, as you stock your pantry and circle help wanted ads, which you're probably going to be doing because from what I hear, unemployment has become a monumental mountain that people are going to need to climb with 3.8, 3.3, 3.8 million people applying for unemployment, which blows any other number right out of the goddamn water. And that number is expected to double. Look at the situation we find ourselves in now, just merely 2 months later from the date that I started streaming. That's not even the date this really began. I mean, it started getting bad in early January for China, of course, with the lockdowns and everything else, and the speculation the first case arrived or showed up near the wet market in November. We started paying attention to it here back in the middle of January. And in that 2 months, it's infected nearly every nation on Earth. Think about that. Every goddamn nation on Earth. This isn't a couldn't get into Madagascar kind of thing. Already made it. This isn't a couldn't get into Greenland or Iceland thing. Already made it. If you played Plague Inc., you know where the game is going. That's a victory condition in and of itself. We just have areas of Asia and a few areas of Africa to take over. What is there, 20 countries left? There are, 194, 196 when you include the little city-states nobody really pays attention to? And China and this disease have managed to infect nearly all of them. total global saturation. That's where we're sitting at right now. We've got Italy with a death rate which is over 10%, 10.56%, at least going off of BNO's numbers, which have been fairly accurate because they're source backed. You could use World Infometer. There are other ones out there that you can use to track the numbers. New York Times tracks the numbers. Generally, they're all fairly accurate. We've seen this explode in Europe. We've seen it explode in the Middle East, and it's finally made its way over here to the land of obesity and Big Macs. Good old America. Oh, and what havoc it's wreaked on its way, as the supply chains and manufacturing of every nation have bent their knee, got on their fucking knees before Corona Chan. We've seen the economy get its ass kicked. Now, we've had a little bit of a recovery. You might call that a dead cat bounce. I don't know where it's going. All I know that at its height so far, it locked off, I'd say around 11,000 points off the Dow and made the S&P and NASDAQ its bitch. Now we see Americans under shelter-in-place mandates from different states all over the country. We see non-essential jobs closed up, not just here in America, but in Europe as well. Numerous industries affected, numerous jobs affected. Most people living paycheck to paycheck don't know what to do. And all the while we get mixed messages. You know, when I started covering this, I noticed a few things. In the beginning, it was a lot of left-leaning people saying that this was a nothing burger. I'm talking outside of the China shills and the concern trolls. If we're looking at blue checkmark authoritarian, public speakers, the talking heads of the internet and the industries, there's a lot of left-leaners that were saying it was a nothing burger. It was racism. How dare you talk about this disease coming from Wuhan? How dare you talk about the risk it poses to the world? How dare you talk about the effect it's going to have? But as it made its way over here, that started to change. They started to get quieter, and in their place, we got more right-wing, more right-leaning people saying it's a nothing burger. It's really remarkable. The line of dialogue, the messaging is the same. It's who's saying it has changed. Went from the lefties saying it to now the right-wingers saying it. And it's that same message we heard people like Eugene, it's just a flu, goo, tell us repeatedly. Nothing to worry about, just a little case of the sniffles. And now the American people are being presented with an option from their leaders. But their leaders don't really have the balls to actually say what the option they're putting forward is. So let me put it in plain English for you. It's the economy or your grandmother. I know Dick Masterson was joking about that during our little debate on the kill stream, but it's the truth. You're being presented with the option that, who cares? Some Americans are expendable. There's a percentage we're willing to go with if it doesn't hurt the economy. That money might be more important than family. So if you're a mother or father or grandfather or grandmother die, if it's an aunt or an uncle, if it's a cousin, or God help you, your son or daughter, well, their death doesn't really matter because we need that Dow to be green, baby. We need to make those big bucks. So we got to reopen the country after a sporadic, haphazard lockdown, which seems to go from region to region but kind of disregards the whole point of a lockdown in the first place. If you're allowing regional travel, if you're allowing people to come from infected areas where there's a high case rate, you're letting them go to another state, another area of the country, they're going to bring the disease with them. Now, a lot of governors, I'd say probably half the governors in the state have issued some form of lockdown. They've issued some form of shelter in place or some rules about what businesses can be opened or how public gatherings operate, but nothing federally mandated. And it's bizarre to me because I don't think that's going to work. Now, we've been told that a miracle drug is on its way. Hydrochloroquine mixed with a antibiotic, that's going to save the day. That's what you've been told. But those drugs have been known about since the middle of last month. It's not a new discovery. If you've been paying attention to this or following it for a while, you know there's a whole treatment regimen that's been proposed to the public. Everything from Caletra, which is a AIDS medication, interferon alpha 2B, which is a cancer medication. People were put on steroids before they found out that was counterintuitive. Took them off that. There's also the Japanese flu drug, which I can't remember the name of. I just call it the Japanese jack-off drug because it starts with FAP. Fapinovir? Can't really remember. Of course, there are the experimental drugs put out by companies like Gilead Sciences, which is remdesivir. We use that on one of the first patients in Washington State, as well as sending sample doses off to China, I believe, at the very beginning of February. So there have been numerous medications that have been tried out in different clinical trials, different settings, different settings all over the world, really. Will it work? I can't tell you. I know that it's been spread around now, that the medication's been given out in mass quantities in New York since, I believe, Tuesday, and we're on Friday evening, and we still see the New York numbers looking abysmal, especially in New York City with a high death rate. Still a lot of people in critical care, a lot of ICU patients, as well as an expanded, explosive amount of infections. So if that miracle drug is going to work, I hope it works soon, because it's been about 4 days now. And the little Jewish guy that ran his study in the Hasidic community said it cured 350 people within 5 days. So I would hope by Monday or Tuesday of next week we have some amazing results to show, and then we can put this behind us. But I've been struck by one message, I think, that freaks me out a little bit. I don't know if you've seen it as you've watched this, if you've heard of Dr. Fauci, and is it Bricks or Bix? I don't know what her name is. But there's one repeated thing that constantly comes up when these people are talking on television. I think it's something you need to hone in on, because I think it's the most honest thing you're going to get out of anybody during any of this. And that's fear. And that fear that comes across to me when they talk about that vaccine. And they've talked about it quite a bit. Now ask yourself, if this is such a nothing burger, if we have miraculous medical concoctions we can use to wipe it out immediately, why they're so focused on a vaccine. Why they're talking about changing standards of how vaccine trials are even run. I think it was Fauci who went up there to say that they were going to do something unheard of. That while they were running their phase 1 on these vaccines, they were going to begin mass production immediately, just in the hopes that if the vaccine showed promise, they could immediately have it ready to use within 12 to 18 months. Bricks has said the same thing when she talks about the infection rates, when she talks about the seasonality of this, about the waves of it coming through the world, expecting that there'll be 2 to 3 waves that will see this continue on into spring of 2021, which we've heard parroted from different world governments. A lot of those closed-door estimates that we're getting from people are saying they think this fucker is going to stick around until late next year, September of next year. And so we hear these people get up and they talk about all sorts of things, but they keep coming back to that fucking vaccine. And their focus on that, they're talking about that, makes me think that they're worried and that they just don't want to really address it. It's fine to have hope. It's fine to think that there's going to be some drug combination that's going to come out and magically kick this in the balls and it's going to disappear. But if that were the case, if they really, really, truly believed it, I don't think they would be so focused on this amount of vaccine production and investment and repeated messaging. But then again, I'm the doomer, right? I'm the black-pilled guy, here to give you the bad news you don't want to hear, because I always look at the pessimistic outcome, like laughing at the idea of a campaign which says 15 days to stop the spread, when a CDC study shows that this fucking thing lives for 17 days on surfaces. You remember when they came out initially and told you it only exists for, 3 to 4 hours on cardboard, maybe a day on steel surfaces, maybe 3 days if it was the most optimal of conditions, and then they go to the Death Princess cruise ship and they find out it lives for 17 fucking days. They're finding the virus all over the goddamn place in the cabins of the people that were infected. So 15 days to stop the spread of something that sticks around for 17 days, might want to adjust that fucking campaign a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of cruise ships, can we stop with the fucking cruises? We have another death ship that's got a whole new batch of infected people just waiting to disembark into some unlucky country and spread the gift to everybody. Always stunning and amazing, I know. Watching the people talk about these medications it's remarkable, because it's old news. None of it's new. This shit has been in treatment regimens all over the place. It really is not new news. Africans on Twitter were laughing about the idea of chloroquine being used because they didn't think Americans were going to be prepared for the side effects. And sure, we're going with a derivative of it, hydrochloroquine, so it's not as intense. But they still thought the idea of a bunch of blind Americans from the retinopathy was Kind of funny, a bunch of deaf people walking. Our disease been up to? Well, we heard news come out of China a month or so ago talking about two strains, the S Cove and the L Cove strain, one more infective and dangerous than the other. Then we have I believe an Icelandic study come out saying that they found 40 mutations beyond those two strains. So she's out there doing all sorts of crazy shit we don't really understand or know about. Maybe that's why we're getting asymptomatic reports, or reports of asymptomatic carriers who are now losing their sense of smell and taste, with some doctors speculating it might be nerve damage, which of course shouldn't be surprising to you after the Beijing study was published, I believe, 5 weeks ago, talking about viral encephalitis in one patient, and also finding the virus in spinal fluid, that it infects the nervous system and it can do all sorts of crazy shit we don't really understand fully. We had early reports coming out of China of people in the Guangdong province having a 14% reinfection rate. And now you've got articles from NPR just a day or so ago talking about how 5 to 10% of people in Wuhan are testing positive again. How some have even tested positive 3 times, with their doctors going into isolation wards. In fact, one of the Chinese doctors that was interviewed and was talking about this had brought up the fact they found it very awkward that if the virus wasn't still, infectious, if you couldn't infect people the second or third time around, why were they putting people in isolation? Why were they bringing them back to the hospitals? And I know there's a lot of debate about the reliability of the Chinese tests, 30 to 50% false negatives with the tests that they were using, the way they worked. I don't know, maybe they ordered them from the fucking CDC. We all know the CDC is so great at producing reliable fucking tests with their reagents. So maybe that was what the problem was. I don't know 100%. But I do know that reinfection has been something that's been talked about in other nations that aren't using Chinese tests, like Japan, South Korea, Israel, and Canada. And it will be interesting to see what happens in the United States if people begin to show reoccurrence or reinfection, or if the virus just doesn't ever disappear. We don't know. But a lot of all these old stories, the speculations and the rumors that we talked about over the past 2 months are starting to bear fruit. We're hearing about medications that were used before, and now they're making the mainstream news. We're talking about symptoms that were ignored, and now they're making the mainstream news. You remember when the Chinese said it infected pets? Nobody believed them, and then Hong Kong showed evidence that that was true. Now we're getting reports it's not just dogs, but cats that can get the fucking virus. Lovely. What a lovely, completely 100% natural disease that wasn't in any way made in a biolaboratory in the province of Hubei, in the city of Wuhan. So our girls out there doing all sorts of fucking weird shit. Now, is the loss of sense of smell and taste, is that permanent when they say nerve damage? I have no idea. All I know is this shit gets weirder and weirder by the day. We get more and more reports of it doing absurd things by the day. There was one article that came out talking about a patient that was asymptomatic, and they did a CAT scan of their lungs, and they were completely trashed. Absolutely fucking destroyed. Of course, then they quickly took a turn for the worse and went critical and had to be put on oxygen and a ventilator. We heard reports coming out of China saying people were on vents for up to 30 days. A lot of people said that can't be true. You can't have somebody on a vent for 30 days, and yet in New York City, we're seeing people on vents from anywhere from 11 to upwards of 21 days already. Imagine that. 3 consecutive weeks on a ventilator because you've gone into ARDS. And what are they giving you? How are they treating that? If you have a patient that needs an ICU bed, that needs a ventilator from you, and the typical stay on a ventilator for most other illnesses is 4 days, but your COVID patient needs it for 3 weeks, that has a cumulative effect. It snowballs. It adds up. That's why you see people like Cuomo shitting their pants talking about needing 30,000 ventilators. If it was any other disease, he probably wouldn't need 30,000 vents. He'd probably need 10,000. But because patients can stay upwards of 3 to 4 weeks on a vent, you need a whole lot of vents to deal with it. I also love the idea that's been proposed of hotspots. We hear that a lot. Hotspots. Oh, New York City's a hotspot. Very true, comparatively. Relatively, in the United States, yes, New York City would be a hotspot. And when you say that, you make it sound like, oh, well, New York is where it's going to start first. That's where the tidal wave is coming from. But go look up the stats of other states like New Jersey or California or Washington or Louisiana. Go look at the numbers they have. Not even their growth, just the total number of cases. And they're comparable to other countries. So, yes, within the United States, it is a hotspot. But compared to the world, many of our states are hotspots because they have a fuck ton of cases. And we're basing our approach really in the United States off dealing with a region by itself, hoping that the disease is so kind as to allow us a strategy like that. Like, Corona Chan's just going to sit back in a chair and be like, yeah, I'll just start with New York for now. And then in 3 to 4 weeks, I'll go fuck with Washington. And another 2 weeks, I'll go hit California. So you have plenty of time to prepare and get ready. But that's not how a virus works. That's not how a disease works. This thing could go critical. It could flare up hotspots all over the United States simultaneously. If you think they're already shitting themselves in New York, what are they going to do, federally or on a state level, if it starts to blow up in Washington, California, Louisiana, Florida, and let's throw in a Michigan too, all at the same time? What do we do if we start getting 30 to 40,000 infected over the span of a week in 5 to 6 different areas? How are we going to produce those ventilators? The ventilators, which, by the way, take a while to produce, even with GM doing it, even with Ford throwing their full weight behind it. Oh, I feel like we got caught with our pants down. We had such a run up to this. We had so much time to really prepare for it. We knew what was going on in China. I believe Trump and his team said they were aware early January 11th or 12th. This is right around the Wuhan lockdown time. They saw what was going on, and we all saw and watched as it spread to the Middle East and then into Europe, and then really took off. So we had a month or two build up to really start stockpiling the shit out of stuff. But what happened? Well, a lot of things happened. One, we didn't produce like we should have. We didn't prepare like we should have. And we also allowed Chinese nationalists working for corporations in the United States, and not just the U.S., but other countries' experiences too, like Canada and Mexico and everyone, where they'd send out their employees, these Chinese, and they'd buy up stocks of 3M masks, and they'd buy up gowns, they'd buy up gloves, they'd buy up machinery, and they'd ship it all back to China. So China was prepared. So it's humorous to me to hear about China lending aid to foreign countries like in Italy or somewhere else, because that's basically shit they took from us that we could have used to prepare ahead of time. But they bought out the stores, they bought out the supply, and started shipping it back overseas because they were short on it because they didn't have enough of it. I guess I am a pessimist. When I look at the situation and how it's unfolded, when I look at what people are grasping onto as I watch the damage to the economy, this could end tomorrow. And you're going to feel the reverberations of this fucking shit for at least 3 to 5 years. I guarantee it. It's going to have an effect on the economy. It's going to have an effect on how manufacturing jobs and medical supplies and all sorts of things happen. About international relationships. We're going to start to re-examine how we interact with each other all over the world. How we deal with one another all over the world. And if this shit about reinfection, if it's even a little bit true, if people that were positive with this once somehow flare up again, or they're so susceptible to the disease that their antibodies aren't built up and they immediately get it again, how do you deal with that? You're looking at nearly 600,000 infected worldwide. Let's say it ended today and nobody else got infected. They just all miraculously recovered. But then you find out that they're still infectious, that in a week or a month they could suddenly start to flare up again and the virus is now contagious again. So what do you do with those 600,000 people in every nation on earth? They could start the spread of the disease again. Even if it's just 5 to 10% or 14% like Guangdong had said. But let's say 10%, 60,000 people. Let's say it's just a 10% reoccurrence rate. What do you do with those 60,000? Do you isolate them? Do you put them in a little house on an island and never let them leave? Now imagine that number keeps growing and it's millions infected. You can see how it could become a bit of a big problem. You know, in this argument that these are defective tests, that's not going to last forever, everyone. I know the people and why they're saying it, and there's some truth to it. But eventually, you're not going to be able to lean back on that and explain away the reinfection or the reoccurrence as faulty testing equipment. Not this many, not this dispersed around the world. This thing is a little more vicious, I think, than people realized. And I think too, as we've watched the numbers increase, as we've watched Italy and Spain and France and of course the United States, we've noticed that there's something awfully wrong about the Chinese numbers. My God, do you think they might have lied? It's not like they've done that numerous times before when it comes to disease statistics, like they did with SARS and swine flu and every other goddamn thing that's really happened over the past 20 to 30 years. In fact, their economy they lie so much about, there's a special index created to track the real numbers. I'll show you that on Sunday. It's quite funny, actually, how people don't really have any faith in the ability of China to report on its own economy, so they created their own index to track the real thing. But when you look at 80,000 plus people infected in Italy with a 10% death rate, when you look at the U.S. with 100,000 infected and a rising death rate as those ICU beds get full, as capacity is surged past, as you look at the Spains and the Frances, and you look at everybody else and how quickly it seems to be spreading or gaining momentum, as the amount of people pile up that are getting critically ill, as the amount of people that are dying start to pile up, and you look back on those Chinese numbers and you realize they had months of this, that they were well ahead of everybody else by months, and their numbers suddenly stop at 80,000 and they never go any farther, and dense packed cities of 11 million, 12 million, 15 million people, in a country that locked down 750 million people over this, you're telling me they only have 80,000 infected and only 3,000 dead? I know people brought up the difference of age demographics. I was unaware that China had no old people in it. I didn't realize it was a nation of Zoomers, that once you hit the age of 20, you were shot in the head. Apparently, it's a nation run by teenagers that love Twitch. Who knew? Who knew? I guess we could get along with them if we'd only known their love of video games. Those young Chinese people who never ever age past 40. So I'm starting to suspect that maybe the Chinese lied. Maybe they made up some things. Maybe they weren't wholly, totally honest with us. Which I think brings around a really interesting point. Let's, again, hypothetically speculate that this ends tomorrow. With the amount of infection and death and worry that's happened to people physically, with the amount of financial damage that is more than obviously apparent, with the mass rise in unemployment around the world because people have been laid off or put on furlough, or their jobs have just disappeared because a company collapsed. This was a hit. This fucked with the world for months. So is China going to be held responsible for it? Now you can brush away and say, they didn't make this in a biolaboratory, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, even going on that line of thinking, even if you believe this is a naturally developing disease that emerged in China in their wet market or somewhere in Wuhan or Hubei or wherever, they still hid the numbers from us. They hid the truth about what was happening. 80,000 is bullshit. And I think it's starting to become clear that that's bullshit. So if you're a nation that knows that you have a highly infectious disease that could damage a population or cripple an economy, and you withhold very important information from other nations that are vulnerable to that disease, give me my 40 acres and a mule. Oh, did I just drop again? Boy, the Chinese are getting angry with me today. I better watch what I'm saying over here. Talking about reparations, the Chinese don't like that very much. But if you cause that much harm to other nations, I'm even downplaying it by saying it like that. When you cause harm to the entire fucking world, not just other nations makes it seem like I'm saying a handful of countries, a percentage of nations. No, when you literally fuck the entire planet over because you didn't want to be honest with them about what was happening because you'll look bad and you want to save face, and your effort to save face puts everyone else at risk, I think you should be held accountable. Economically held accountable. And if you can't be held accountable economically, well, there's always the nuclear option, isn't there? Now, I'm not here to say that one nuke for every country infected is a fair amount of retribution. I'd probably say 2 nukes. But I'm thinking that something could be done. A message could be sent that you went a little too far this time. by hiding your information, Winnie the Pooh, by concealing this information, Xi Jinping, and putting the world at risk and doing this sort of damage to the American people and to everyone on every continent, even the island nations, that you fucking need to pay what you owe. Now, how do we divvy that up? I don't know. Do we take land from them? Natural resources, maybe? Wipe away debt? I don't know what we do. But they got to pay what they fucking owe. And they owe quite a bit based on the amount of damage that's going on right now. I don't know, chat. Am I off on that? Am I a little too ahead of the curve when I start talking about this? Do I need to wait a little while? No, not bomb Wuhan, chat. I'm saying bomb. That's what I'm throwing out there. Oh, they are not. They are not happy today, chat. I'm sorry. Everything's just going tits up on me. A lot of technical difficulties. Surprising amounts of technical difficulties doing the stream, just simply talking about China, just my voice. Not even really doing anything, but just simply talking to you. A lot of stuttering, a lot of issues. But you can't keep me down, Z. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Z. I'm going to tell people the truth. The truthfulness of it. Get the word out there that you need to pay what you motherfucking owe, Z. So what do you think, Chad, if we were to give estimates, if we were to talk about where this is going to go, what do you think the final tally is going to be? Well, it really has picked up steam. It was 90 days from the first infection or first recorded infection till 100,000. Then I believe it was 12 days from 100,000 to 200,000, and then 4 to 5 days from 200 to 300. And now we're averaging roughly 2 to 3 days to go up 100,000. We're at 6 now. So in the month of March, we've basically gained 400,000 infected, potentially 500,000 by the end of the month. And that death rate's going to start to follow behind as more and more people get sick. I mean, where does it end? If that's just New York, New York City in particular, I think it's 45,000 in New York are infected and 25,000 of them to 30,000 of them are located in New York City. I mean, that's just really one city. That's one region. You've got lots of areas of the country with high populations and cities. Even in the sparsely populated states, they have cities with millions of people. So lots of potential areas and zones where things could go terrible. And it really isn't, it hasn't hit its peak. It hasn't hit its apex in New York. I mean, they're gearing up for, what was it, Cuomo said, 140,000 cases just in New York, which might be an underestimate or maybe an overestimate. Maybe the hydrochloroquine will work, or whatever the however you pronounce it. Maybe that'll be the magic mystery bullet that takes the disease out. But probably not. So what do you think, chat? What's your guesstimate? Let's just keep it to America. It's hard to tally in all the other nations. What do you think will be the final estimate for America? If you could look forward, if you had psychic powers, if you could tell the future, if you were a soothsayer, what would your guess be for the amount of infected total in America? And then what do you think the total tally will be for dead once we're finished? I think we're at 105,000 infected right now and about 1,500, 1,600 dead. So what do you think that final number is going to look like? $6 million? Well, you're throwing out a high number there. Oh boy. Somebody thinks 5 million by the end of April. 5 million infected, 100 million infected, a lot of high numbers. 2 to 4, 6 million? Oh, you're going so quick it's hard to keep up, chat. You're typing at the speed people are getting infected in the country. I don't know how somebody came up with a negative number. Do they unsick themselves? Is that some new trick we've all forgotten how to do? I'm seeing a lot of high estimates. At the very least, I'm seeing most people speculate from 2 to 10 million. I'd say, is where the majority are throwing out their numbers. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are going to be. I really don't. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised at how quickly this has exploded in the United States. I thought we would have a little bit better chance at containing it. I think it was March 2nd or 3rd that Trump was talking about 15 infected and that it would be a miraculous recovery. They'd go down to zero, and by April, we wouldn't even be talking about this. So in the span of what, 23 days, 24 days, we've gone from 15 to 20 cases up to over 100,000 cases. And now we're averaging somewhere between 15 to 20,000 new infections a day. And that's primarily from New York. But if other areas start to catch on, your Louisianas, your Washingtons, your Californias, your Michigans, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck the number's going to look like. Imagine pulling New York numbers and 10 to 20 cities all over the United States every day for 3 to 4 weeks. Imagine the strain that's going to put on health workers or police departments. I mean, my God, there was a report coming out of New York City that 11% of New York uniformed officers were on sick leave. Now, in that same information blurb, they had said that about 400 to 500 of them just recently had tested positive for COVID. Now, I don't know if that means to imply that 11% of the workforce in the police department in New York City have COVID, or if they're just saying that, those 400 to 500 do, but 11% are out sick because they don't want to deal with this shit. I couldn't tell you. Frankly, I don't blame them. I feel bad for a lot of people that are stuck on the front lines of this shit. You've got cops that have to deal with it. You've got healthcare workers that have to deal with it. But, I mean, think about the other people. As everybody gets told what's an essential or non-essential job, there are a lot of people working a minimum wage job that are going to get fucked in the ass because they're technically essential. So the person making a very low amount of money working at the gas station can't take a day off. The person working at the fucking checkout at your grocery store or a Walmart can't take the day off, and they're exposed to that shit all the time. What a fucking nightmare scenario that would be. As everybody else is sheltering in place, you're forced to go to your fucking job. Now, I know this stimulus package, this bill that passed for $2.2 trillion, I believe, is supposed to help at least people that are on unemployment insurance. So what are we looking at? From my understanding, and I could be wrong, this is my understanding of it. If you filed taxes in 2018 or 2019, and individually you made $75,000 or less, or if you were married filing jointly, $150,000 and less, you will get between a $1,200 to $2,400 check, one-time payment. If you're unemployed on unemployment insurance, instead of getting the average, I think there was an article that said the average nationwide for that is roughly around $300 to $400 a week. You'll get $900 to $1,000 a week because on top of the state benefit of unemployment insurance, you're also going to get a federally added one of up to $600 a week for up to 4 months. So I suppose that's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, I don't know how are they going to tax that. I don't know what they're going to do about that next year. Taxes, by the way, delayed at least for 3 months until June, I believe, June or July. So everything's kind of at a standstill right now, and I know people are already getting antsy, hoping it's going to be over tomorrow or a week from now. But I really don't think it's going to be over in a day or a week. I mean, even the most optimistic of scenarios, I think we're looking at another 2 to 3 months of this. So did you prepare? Did you take the time as this was building up to get prepared, to put a little money away to cover your bills, to get a little bit of food in a pantry so you don't have to risk going to the supermarket and getting coofed on? Did you get some home protection in case raiders come to take your SpaghettiOs? Did you get enough over-the-counter medicine? Did you make sure your prescriptions were filled? Did you visit the dentist before they all shut down? Did you do all the important things that you needed to do to prepare for this that might go on for 2 to 3 months optimistically? And the more pessimistic, scenario would be 12 to 18 months. My God, could you imagine this sporadically happening repeatedly all over the United States, all over the world for 12 to 18 months? I mean, I don't think anybody's prepared for something like that. How the hell are we going to get by if this is a thing that continues on until September or October of 2021? And we're going to have to hope that hydrochlorine or chloroquine or remdesivir or the Japanese jack-off drug Penasivir or whatever, however you pronounce it, that one of those is a magic bullet and really helps with recovery. But then you're still left with the questions of reinfection, nerve damage, all sorts of crazy things. And it still goes on. So like I said, month 3, here we go. From January to February was the buildup. From February to March was the warning. And now from March to April is a reality. So what happens when we get into April and we move on into May? Is there going to be despair and catastrophe? Are we going to watch the markets collapse? The head of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, had said that they believe this is a global recession. And their most optimistic proposal is it will be a recession for at least a year. At least a year until the spring of 2021. And that's if the virus is contained. So they're already just saying it's straight out a global recession. So what happens? The markets continually fall apart because nobody can go to work. Everybody's sick. Everybody's unemployed. Well, what happens to the basic necessities of life? How do you pay your bills? What do you do about rent or a mortgage payment? How do you buy your food or your medicine? Are your kids going to go to school? How is that going to be handled? I mean, even if you retain your job and you can support your family, but now your kid's at home every day, all day. You got to worry about that dumb little fucker breaking the stay-at-home order and going outside to lick a toilet seat. Do you remember those coronavirus parties that were popular for about a day? We saw a bunch of teenagers and college-age students going out and being like, fuck it, spring break, man, I'm going to get so drunk. And now they're all puking up blood and shit. I've seen like 3 or 4 articles talking about people posting this shit on Instagram and other social media accounts saying that they weren't scared of shit and they were licking toilet seats. They're going to Corona parties and now they're koofing themselves silly and regretting that fucking decision. So how do you deal with your kids? What do you do with them? I mean, all our institutions, all our public gatherings, the things that we do on a daily basis, they're group activities. Oh, the logistics of this shit is a nightmare. I'm glad I don't work in government. I'm glad I'm not on some pandemic team or some legislative body in this country or any country. Because trying to work out the nightmare scenario of this shit, even short term, seems like it would be well below the pay that you'd be getting to do it. I mean, what are the numbers we're looking at right now? If I were to go to BNO, and I know they're again, it varies from place to place, but if I were to go to BNO, what are we looking at right now? Okay. Can I bring this up? Let me see if I can show this on screen for everybody without this crashing the stream. Let me try here. Oh, there we go. Okay. Here are the numbers from BNO. I think that should be, yeah, that's good enough in focus. Yep, okay. So updated throughout the day, we're nearly at 600,000 cases, really just 17 and change off from hitting 600,000 infections. The death toll, 27,000 people. 437,000 unresolved, 133,000 resolved. You can look at those numbers. Look at that. The United States, nearly 20,000 new cases today, nearly 400 deaths. Italy, as well, has surpassed China with 5,900 infections and 919 deaths. I believe that's a high score for them. One thing I've noticed about China, very interesting with the Chinese numbers, they post piddling numbers, ridiculously small bullshit numbers. But I've noticed almost every day for the last week or two consistently that when the Chinese post numbers, it's a 10% death rate. So 55 cases, 5 deaths. I believe yesterday it was 80 cases and 8 deaths. The day before that, 100 cases and 10 deaths. And then another 50 cases and 5 deaths. Weird how that new rate's 10% rather than 4%. Spain starting to blow up with 7,900 cases. Germany, you might be looking at their death count, wondering what's going on there. Well, I've heard numerous stories as to why Germany's calculations on their death rate is different from everybody else's. I don't know what the truth is. Some have said that they don't count any secondary conditions contributing to death as being contributors, but the primary cause. So if you had a heart condition and then you had a heart attack, they count it as a heart attack rather than COVID-related, even if you test positive. Is that true? I don't know. I really don't, because I'm not really paying attention to Germany when it compares to all the other countries of interesting shit going on. France is starting to pick up. Do you remember back in mid-February when France, when their, was it Macron, had said they're not going to shut the border? Do you remember how we all laughed about that on this stream? When he said that even though Italy was experiencing an explosion of cases, they weren't going to shut the border. And now look at France. I believe at the time France had like 30 cases, and they weren't going to shut that fucking border, and now they're at 32,000. Maybe you should have closed the fucking border. Maybe all of the nations that had said something similar should have, because Italy infected about 17 countries. Iran in the Middle East infected, I believe it was 14 or 13. I mean, both of these two nations have really spread the gift around the Middle East and Europe quite well. The United Kingdom, knocking it out of the ballpark there. Nearly 3,000 new cases, 180 deaths. You've got good old Boris getting infected, Prince Charles getting infected, lots of high-ups getting infected. Well, don't feel like you're alone in that. I'm fairly certain in the United States we've been dealing with something similar. We have 4 representatives that are infected, with others that are self-isolating. In fact, Rand Paul is one of the people that tested positive. South Korea slowly creeping up, even with their great testing methodology and case tracking. In fact, I believe that Singapore as well is starting to show an upswing. Let's go through. The Swedes have so far held it off. Israel's starting to get some cases going there, a little bit. I don't know if this means they've had no new infections today or if they haven't reported their numbers today. Israel, Sweden, and Brazil, I don't know. Everybody reports at a different time, so it's hard to keep track. Japan, I don't know what's going on with Japan. I think they just want the Olympics. I don't trust their numbers, I'll be honest with you. I think BNO could probably remove Diamond Princess. Nobody at this point really cares, but here's Singapore, 683 cases. One other interesting tidbit about all these countries that are infected, if you go through here, is that only a few now are stuck at number 1. For a long time, a lot of these countries, the ones especially more recently infected, just had 1 case. And now it's just these 4. Papua New Guinea, St. Vincent, Libya, and Timor-Leste. That's it. They all just had 1. That was it. But now everybody's starting to get a case here and a case there, and it slowly builds on itself, and you start noticing it going up and up and up. And we've seen the build-up that happens with all these countries, with the exception, save 1 or 2, of a South Korea or, a Singapore. Or, I guess, a Japan, if you want to go with what their numbers they're proposing are. But everybody else, though, starting to get into that area, starting to get into that number zone where things get really shitty for you, where things get really bad for you. So we'll see how it goes. All these goddamn countries reporting new infections, new deaths, just growing day after day. I mean, how do you reopen travel? How do you do it? Regionally? I mean, can you even trust regional that it's going to be safe? Can you say, well, we've waited for Asia now for 5 months. Let's open it back up. Or Europe, we've waited 4 months. Let's open it back up. I mean, we're looking at potentially international, at least commercial traffic, being just stopped dead for maybe half a year. I don't know. When do you reopen it? Or what about, internally within the United States? Are you going to let people take a plane flight from New York to Florida? What about a car trip? We've already seen a couple of governors say we're not letting people from New York come in, and if they come in, they're getting quarantined. I believe that was Texas, Florida, and one other. Not 100% sure. Again, I'll have a more concrete stream for you on Sunday. A lot of people wanted me to stream, so I figured, fuck it, I'll do it for a little bit. Touch base with everybody. Prove to you that I haven't I haven't died yet from the Kufr curse. But if this reinfection shit is true, if this reoccurrence thing is true, if we just keep getting reinfected or reinfecting others, I'm going to stop calling it the Wu flu and start calling it the forever flu, because the thing never goes away. And you're going to have to hope and wait for that vaccine to show up to have some kind of an impact, and just stopping it and mitigating it and making it end. This little airborne AIDS epidemic that seemingly has caught the world with its pants down. So I'm going to guess it will easily, again, I'll throw a number out there, easily, at least worldwide, be at 1 million cases, probably by, I don't know, the end of the first week of April. By the end of April, maybe 2 million cases. I think it really depends on how much it keeps spreading in Europe and what the hell happens in the United States. What kind of a direction do we have going forward when dealing with this? And how well does that little combination of antibiotics and the malaria medicine actually work? I know people cite a French study saying it showed great results that had no control group. I know another study by the Jewish guy in the Hasidic community, 350 patients. Well, there was a Chinese study said it didn't work, and people when they were criticizing that said you really need a sample size of somewhere around 740 to 750 to make sure. So it's like none of the studies really are giving you anything concrete, just some good anecdotal information that maybe it has an effect. But we heard the same thing with Kaletra. Oh, the AIDS medicine works. Just take the AIDS medicine until they did a proper study and showed no, it really doesn't. Same with the interferon, same with the steroids, same with the whole slew of medicines that people were getting, with maybe the exception of remdesivir, which was given in very limited quantities. 500 doses to China, one case in Washington, and a few others in Europe. So I don't know what we're hoping for. I don't know what we're waiting for. But to unfuck ourselves from this situation that we're currently in right now is going to take a good amount of time. Even with the best of news, it's going to take a few months to unfuck ourselves. And then people have to pick up the pieces. Do we get our jobs back? Do the companies reopen? What the fuck do we do with that? Is the stock market going to ever recover to where it was before this started? Are we going to see December numbers again or not? Who knows? So sorry for the doom speaking, the black pill, the pessimism. But I call it like I see it, and I don't really see anything that's giving me high hopes that this is going to be dealt with in a quick and efficient manner. I see kind of a bumbling response from almost everybody. Again, save one or two countries that were really on the ball. And even then, the mitigation has only really slowed it down. It hasn't stopped it. So will we see a second wave in China? I don't know. Will a great new medication come out that deals with this? I don't know. What I do know is, for 3 months this thing has been butt-fucking the world. And that's got to put her above a position like Ebola or SARS or MERS. Or even other diseases out there. I love watching and reading the fucking Twitter feed of people like Bill Buy the Dip Mitchell, who really only seems to give two shits about the stock market and doesn't give a fuck about if your grandmother or father or mother die. He really doesn't care about that. He wants those numbers. He wants big green line go up. That's what Bill Mitchell wants. But I watched him talk about Italy and the death rate. And I kid you not, this guy basically said the Italians are dying because they're pussies. Well, let's see if he has that same bravado, that same gusto when we start seeing a percent increase in the death rate in Americans. Once you get past that capacity, once you surge past it, and there just aren't enough healthy doctors, and there just isn't enough beds, and there aren't enough machines, and there's not enough protective gear, you're going to see an increase. I mean, we're sending fucking hospital ships to California and to New York. We're building hospitals just like the Chinese did. We're watching the same thing play out, but we're watching it play out in a more open environment. I think that brings me back around again to the Chinese numbers. I'm just going to say it outright. I really don't think it's anything, extremist to say, but I don't believe their numbers at all. I think their infection rate is way higher, and I think their death rate is way higher than what they're saying. I mean, you can look at all sorts of anecdotal reasons for why that is. Now, will the truth ever come out? I couldn't tell you. Well, what I have seen recently are the little riots that are going on from province to province. People in Hubei, which is where Wuhan is, trying to travel around the country are being boxed in by other provinces that don't want them because they believe they're still infected and dangerous. So you're seeing people from Hubei basically fighting people on bridges, beating each other with fucking police shields. I'll have video footage of that on Sunday when I stream. You can take a look at that. It's pretty remarkable watching Chinese society start to crumble a little bit. But, on the subject of things that really make you think, we're starting to see riot videos come out of China. All Chinese theaters closed down, and we're hearing reports of reinfection rates back in Wuhan and Hubei. And all three of these things are coming out at roughly the same time. So what that tells me is probably not good news from China, and we're probably going to get more bad news coming from China. And I think whatever that bad news might end up being is what's going to really either give us hope, as in we can stop that from happening here, or scare us shitless. when we find out it's really bad. So I guess it's going to be a wait and see strategy. I mean, it's really the battle between the nothing burgers and the give it 2 weeks people. Which way is it going to go? Well, it's been 3 months, and it seems to be hanging on pretty strong. So I guess we'll see where it goes. Now I know I haven't streamed a lot recently. Had a little bit of a run in with getting demonetized for a day there. Turned out YouTube had made a mistake and they remedied it, so that was easily fixed with a peace offering of Franzia. Fixed that pretty quickly. But just even outside of that, I'm not the sort of person that really streams daily. I don't mind doing it weekly, but not daily. If you're looking for daily coverage of this, you're going to have to look for somebody like I guess like a Lookner. I think he does streams on this almost every day, really going over sources and numbers. I'm more just like you. I'm watching this shit unfold, and occasionally I'll do a stream talking about it. But it has been one hell of a fucking show to watch. And it's far from a nothing burger. It most definitely is a happening. This amount of reaction, whether it's overplayed fear porn, like the Bill Mitchells would say, or appropriate response, it doesn't matter if it's either or. It's a happening. The world has lost its mind. We're seeing crazy shit take place right now that I don't think anybody thought was going to be. I don't think anybody thought, yeah, that's what 2020 is going to be like. That's what we're moving into. I think most people were thinking the elections in the United States were going to be the big shit show to watch. And I mean, they still will be with Joe Biden walking into walls. I don't know what the deal is with that, but Democratic Party might want to pick somebody else. I feel bad for Joe Biden. I saw a clip that had like all of his gaffes and all of his meanderings and wanderings, just talking about crazy shit and mixing up words. But there's one where he's standing at the podium, and his wife, I think it was his wife, had to come get him. She just whispers, Joe, and like hugs him, and he looks all kind of scatterbrained, and then she kind of leads him off stage, and it was the most depressing thing to watch. Like, I feel like he's just lost it mentally. I know that was like a meme beginning, but I really do think he is mentally not there. Whether that's Alzheimer's or something else, I don't know. But I think it's almost cruel of the Democrats to put him forward at this point. I don't know who your alternative is. I don't know who else you're going to pick. But I really thought the elections, I thought that was going to be the main story of 2020. You know, the build-up, the debates, all of that. And that has been vastly overshadowed by what we've been dealing with for the last 3 months. Since the start of this year. Can you believe it? We're almost into fucking April and it's still going. If anything, it's building up steam. It's absolutely surreal to watch this take place. And I think, regardless of the political divides that exist in the U.S. or around the world, I think we should all be able to say in a single, solitary, united voice, this is totally China's fault. You hear that? See, if you just told the truth, Winnie, this wouldn't have happened. You had to save face. You had to fuck us all over and look good. Now we're all paying the price for it, and it's your fault. And you are going to pay what you fucking owe. I'm talking reparations, motherfucker. I don't know how that's going to come, but it's coming. So don't get too comfortable sitting where you are right now. Because you owe us all quite a bit for fucking up our daily lives for 4 months now. Because you couldn't tell the fucking truth. Now, I will stream properly on Sunday. We'll have video clips of the riots in China, videos from hospitals in Italy and the United States to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like on the ground, as well as going over some more unique stories related to the virus that aren't really mainstream, but are out there and, bizarre enough that I think probably should be talked about, because if anything about this, if there's any pattern I've noticed in this, it's the weird shit most people find early on that pans out later. Do you remember at the beginning of this when the World Health Organization told everybody that China had assured them that COVID-19 could not spread person to person? There was no human transmission. Do you remember that? Because they were lying, and it totally did. Do you remember when people assured us that it only lived on surfaces for hours to a day at most, and now they're saying 17 days? You remember when they said there's no way it could stay in the air, that it was aerosolized and would fall to the ground within minutes? And yet now we're told it's up to 3, maybe 4 hours just hanging out in the air. They told us it couldn't infect pets, but it does. They told us there was no neurological component to it, but there appears to be. And asymptomatic carriers and in those that are dealing with a severe disease. So, I mean, shit. I don't know where it's going to go, but there's some stories related to that are weird, like the stuff we heard kind of early on were weird. Oh, also update for all the dudes listening, because this disease apparently likes to target men more than women with its severity. Apparently, it does cause damage to your balls based on more studies. They're noticing a drop in your T levels. Some hormonal damage is being done to your boys. Now, I don't know if that happens to asymptomatic people too, but just a heads up: if you get the coofs, you're gonna have trouble with the cumin. First come the coofs, then there's no cumin. So I don't know. That's not looking good. Your boys, your baby factory's getting fucked up by a girl here. Just a little bit of heads up. Oh, thank God for the Who. Yeah, thank God for Teddy and his amazing truth telling. Yes, Chet, that's right. Not a bioweapon. You can totally trust China. Yes, your balls, Chat. Your balls are totally going to get fucked. I have the study. I'll read it on stream on Sunday. Yes, it comes after your testicles. Yes, it fucks with your testosterone. I don't know if it's permanent or not, but it is something that's been observed not just in China now, but elsewhere. Oh, what a great little disease Corona Chan is. Just every day it's a new surprise. Every day you think you got it under control, and all of a sudden your balls don't work. What next? Is your head going to explode? Maybe exploding, like your limb's going to fall off? Like what's the next fucking iteration of this? What other things does it have prepared for us? Our poor cats and dogs getting this fucking thing? They're going to give it back to us? Is it going to mutate in them and come back to us and make us grow tails and shit? I don't know. So, yeah. So we'll have a serious stream on Sunday of all the video clips and studies and all that shit. We'll do that. But people were asking on social media. They wanted an update stream. I guess proof of life. I am alive. Here's your update stream. There you go. We talked for a little while. We talked for an hour. Killed an hour. It's weird. I usually stream on the weekends because most people are working during the work week. But I guess right now that's not the case. It's not just America. It's Europe and other places that have quite a bit of unemployment due to lockdown. So people are kind of just chilling at home. So I'll try to put on a nice fun stream on Sundays. We talk about how your balls are going to explode and people beating each other in China. Going over the family friendly things that everybody can sit down and watch with their kids as we talk about COVID and all the wonderful things that it does. But never forget, chat, China lied. People died. All right, this is Winnie the Pooh's fault. Don't let him squirm his way out of it. Don't let him be snaky about that. And also always remember, whatever who tells you, it's almost always the opposite. So that's what makes me nervous when I hear Teddy from Who telling people that Trump is doing a great job, because Teddy is the same person that said China had it under control and that this wasn't a pandemic. In fact, almost every thing that Teddy has said is wrong. So when he starts praising how America's responding to it, I suddenly get really fucking nervous. That might be a good bellwether to see how fucked we are. Just listen to what the World Health Organization has to say. And if they say things look good, dig your fucking bunker a foot deeper, I guess is my suggestion to you on how to handle the whole COVID situation. So we got super chats. I will read those. And then I will do, a longer stream like Sunday afternoon or evening. I don't know. I probably should go to church and pray since we're in the middle of I'm sure this is the apocalypse. I'm just waiting for war to enter the chat room. I mean, we've got famine with the locust plague and the swine fever and the bird flu. And now we've got pestilence just kind of hip hopping all over the globe with Corona chant. Now we just wait for the war. You just come on in, join the party, get in the chat room. So I probably should take that Sunday to go to some kind of church. Get on my knees and pray for forgiveness and hope it doesn't execute me, because as a smoker, I'm probably totally fucked. I mean, it's one of two things as a smoker. Either this thing is going to completely wipe me out, or it's not going to be able to penetrate tar territory. Maybe I've coated my lungs in this shit so long that it's going to give me protection. It's like my superpower with the side effect of cancer. Okay, you win some, you lose some. To make an omelet, sometimes you got to break some eggs. In this case, it would be healthy cells as it mutates into cancer. But whatever, you never know. So that's super chat time. There we go. I'll start reading through these. Everybody else, feel free to swing on by again on Sunday. Do a proper stream with all the fun videos. Take a look at some of the new music that's out there in regards to Corona Chat. A lot of videos, lots of music being put up on the internet about that. Okay, let's take a look. Where are we? From Clay Pigeon 162, this is what $5 gets me. That's 20 packets of ramen I don't have now. I hope you stockpiled your ramen ahead of time. Lots of shelf-stable foods you probably should get. I've got my own little pantry of goodness. I'm not going to tell you what's in it. I don't want the raiders coming for me when they know how many boxes of pasta I've stockpiled. From Will Ross, for Jade Chow, the Red Pill Nation, buy quercetin. It's a natural antiviral used to treat Ebola and Zika. It's over the counter. Take it with zinc. Might save you from Corona Chat. I don't even know what that is. I don't know if you're trying to trick me. Hey, Jim, take this mysterious substance. It's totally going to help, and then my balls fall off. I don't want to aid Corona Chat. I want to keep my boys. From Metokur's Lunicorn Archives, there's a link with over 14 million Chinese phone numbers disappeared from the grid in just January and February of this year. Quite a bit of a difference between this number and the official 3,000 dead. I have seen the Chinese cell phone, and in fact, I believe it's actually up to 21 million at this point. I think it's Jennifer Zhang on Twitter is the one that put that out. It is it's highly suspicious given how much the Chinese use their phones in everyday life. A lot of them use it for personal banking. It's tied to a lot of things that just have to deal with rent and bill paying and everything else. So it is interesting that 21 million have mysteriously disappeared. Also, there was a story that came out about urns and the amount of urns that have been ordered just in Wuhan and Hubei being way more than the amount of deaths that have been reported. From Fak Unagi, 25 million phones just recently turned off in China. You can't do anything in China without a phone. I'm sure they all just got better. That's expanding on what I said. Orius Rofo Kale, work gave up so I can bug in, save me Trump bucks. Again, if you paid taxes, I believe in 2018 or 2019 and hit a certain threshold without going over it, you're going to get $1,200 redues. And if you're married, you as a couple will get $2,400 redues. From Red Pill Nation again, quercetin is a zinc ionophore. It binds zinc to your cells, allowing it to become in vitro and block viral reproduction and infection. Get it now. From Captain Falcon, money for my favorite Juggalo Lord. Jim, how bad is my luck? First case in Western Pennsylvania happens to be in my county and the town I live in. Well, I can somewhat sympathize with you, as I've experienced something similar. That one guy, 1-2, we're going to coof on you, 3-4, weld bars on the door. I believe that's a chant they sang after after Wuhan add oil. I think that's what they were yelling out of their apartment buildings in those early Chinese videos that were leaked from WeChat and all the other sources. From Errant Vice, if we're all going to die of Corona Channel, let it be known that James Drake from Union Bridge is gay, and he's age 18. Chris Redfield, coof coof, there's still time, Leon, trust the plan. Why won't you fuck my sister? I know I won't be there to see it, but damn it, Jim, make sure. From QWERTY, Rand Paul getting the Wu flu made me believe in God again. From the Red Pill Nation, buy a gun now. High Point C9 is under $200. Shotguns can be had for $200. Buy it private, and if you can't, then build your own. From Angry Spaghetti, hey Jimbo, what anime is good to watch before suicide? Asking for a friend, cheers. I'd say, instead of watching anime before doing something drastic, just set out a lawn chair and watch as your neighborhood descends into pure fucking chaos. As people can't get their SpaghettiOs because no trucks deliver it because everything in society has collapsed. You're basically going to get to watch Fallout play out in real life. I mean, that's a hell of a show. From a Rude Boy Club, Angie and RJ didn't listen. James is based. From Spencer Fletcher, hey Jim, thoughts on the U.S. thinking about militarizing the Canadian border? I really don't think any Canadians are willingly want to enter America right now. Well, I know that there are activists on the Mexican border blocking Americans from going into Mexico. So that's a nice little ironic twist for you. From Toxic Madman. Jim, do you think the one world government system is being pushed even harder as a result of the pandemic? I think this is, again, I'm going to stick to my original assessment. I think something nasty got out of the lab. I don't think it's intentional. I don't think anybody would intentionally ever release something like this. It just seems like somebody got a little tired. Somebody fucked up in their biohazard level 4 laboratory and wasn't doing what they should have, and something got loose. I don't know if the one world government, you're probably referring to the Bill Gates thing, which we'll cover his AMA from Reddit on Sunday. A lot of interesting things about microchipping and digital certificates related to that. From Clay Pigeon 162, no microbe can touch me. I got a toilet paper fort with a Purell moat and an N95 portcullis. Well, you are prepared. The Red Pill Nation. Don't forget all the biblical plagues of China, as well as the biblical windstorms, sandstorms, and fires all across the land. God must hate the CCP. From Tzech, don't ever forget who did this. Screw the CCP. P.S. Screw YouTube for censoring my super chat. Oh, they won't let you type China? That one guy. Excellent, Jim. Excellent. Deceive the Americans for your reader. Help me weave my web of rices and blame it on the Slavs. Oh, that's a quote, a direct quote, apparently, from President Z. The Flux Empire. Coof, 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 coof. Joshua Larson. Jim, send for help. From Rogue Internet Man. Cuddle me, Dad. I miss you so dearly. The virus has me terrified. Hopefully your father heard that and is on his way. And hopefully you're not like 30 years old and not freaking him out by asking him to do that. From Bernard Bernerder. You think DSP is actually the literal devil with the luck he has? A super plague is released as soon as he was about to get evicted. The man is touched by an angel. From Drew Durant, your advice saved me, Jim. Well, I'm glad I could help. Can't believe it's not come. This is Clown World. People still won't take this seriously. Australians would rather queue for alcohol than be remotely safe. F for Australians. From Sus, what will you spend your Trump bucks? What will you spend your Trump bucks on? Call mom. I think anime figurines. Lots of anime figurines. You know, when they come to find my dead body after I've rotted from having corona virus, COVID, I want them to find me surrounded by little statues of anime girls and be left with a lot of really deep questions as to how this all happened and took place. From Billy Bobby, Jim, I've been laid off for 2 weeks, but thankfully still getting laid. How is the Koofpocalypse treating you? It's so far so good. I think, in my area, my little state, we only have, 400 cases? But, we'll build them up just like everybody else is. From James Beanick, Koof pass the Koof to the left. From Ray, British PM and a royal family member struck down with the blessed COVID. Soon the Queen will be infected. All hail the Irish Republican virus. From Kimonte Fisher, they are making me work as an essential wagey. Who even needs oil filters that bad? Yeah, there are a lot of people that are getting fucked as essential workers that get paid shit for their job and are expected to show up with no saving grace, which is bullshit. From Break Dance Express, Jim, try to find any videos or anything documenting COVID patients' reactions. Seems to be very difficult to find. Also, fat people did. 9/11. Reactions to what? Are you talking about people getting released, or are you talking about patients dying? I mean, in China we saw a lot of hospital videos. But are you talking about like fully recovered patients? I don't know how many videos are out there of that. I mean, there are people posting on social media about it, so I suppose you could read their accounts, but those are mostly Americans or Europeans. And I don't know if they put videos up of it, but I'll look for stuff for Sunday. From Renegade Shuriken, call me Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus because it feels like death standing delivery food out here. Please remember to tip your drivers. From the Red Pill Nation, Jim, I've been crunching numbers. My lowball number puts us at 2 million deaths in the U.S. My higher calculations put us at 10 million. I hope not. From that one guy, press W to atomize the Gobi Desert and turn it to glass. A lot of people looking for a little payback against good old China there. From Sword and Scale, the artwork on your video is fantastic. Do you do it? No, this one was drawn by somebody for me. It should show their name on there. If not, I will have my good friend post it on their social media account, which is shadow banned at the moment for making too many Chinese jokes. Apparently, they don't like that. Also, Jim, seriously, thank you for your coverage of this. You've saved the lives of those who are not stupid enough to shut up and listen. One more here. Jim for President 2024. No, I think I'm going to hang out in my bunker, Sword and Scale. Jim, because this thing lasts so long outside the human body, can it get into the water supply? I know a lot of people actually brought this up, and I don't know. I don't know if anybody's even studied it. All I know is they studied its how long can it last on a surface, and how long can it last in the air, and it's already been expanded past a couple hours to a couple days to 17 days now. So who knows what this fucking thing can do? Every day it's something new. Every single day our girl does something new, and then finally, Adnan did it. All right, there we go. Did we get our W's? We got our W's. A lot of W's for atomizing things. From Clay Pigeon 162, last one out. Please turn off the lights. From Stephen Stromboli, Sweetie Squad, Mike Oxlog. The extroverts are making things worse. Well, they just want to go out and party, man. They want to have a good time. Spring break. Yeah, but they are making it worse. From King of Bandit Zheng, a game over. Ambassador. Jim, my workplace has started testing samples for the virus. Up to 8,000 samples a day. Pray for me, the Corona Chan doesn't get me. Well, best of luck, and if not, rip and pepperoni. From Lum Invader, the funny flu made my work clothes, Jim. And are any old school JRPGs you remember or recommend that are a bit under the radar? Basically, anything other than Final Fantasy. Okay. Well, again, most of mine is biased because it's coming from PS1. It's just a system I played a lot on, but you could play Lunar Eternal Blue, Silver Star Story. Those are two different games, Lunar games. You could also play something like Xenogears, which is good. Vanguard Bandit. My God, there's a lot of JRPGs or just good Japanese games on the PS1. I would recommend looking into that. You don't even have to buy an actual physical PlayStation 1 and the game itself. There are emulators out there with tons of ISOs that are easy to find, and I would recommend looking at that for a starting place. But lots of good stuff. I like Brigandine. It was more of a, I don't even know how you'd really describe it, but it was fun as shit. Probably one of my favorite games. That and Tactics Ogre was also a really good PS1 game that I played the shit out of. So hopefully one of those works for you. From Baron von Ugren Sternberg, big shout out to the Manned Army in State of Mind with David Stay. We want that Alien stream sometime. Well, shit. At the rate things are going, we're probably going to get the aliens making an appearance soon when they do the Blue Beam project on our ass after the virus, huh? From Sublin, food, water, guns, even cigs, but you forgot to stock up on one crucial item. You forgot to stock up on volumes of Berserk. I hear in that manga, he gets fucked by a black guy. But I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I'm totally unfamiliar with this Berserk thing. I'll have to look into it. From Pop Phasercorn Pop, hey Jimbo, wish me luck on my stream tonight. Well, good luck. Oh, I don't know how you got the username of Nigger1488, but you've somehow done it, so congratulations. Hey Jim, did you know Project Melody is a fan of yours? Would you like an invite onto her stream or visit hers? She's dying to meet and talk with you. Maybe I could swing on people's streams, but right now I'm in my bunker. Is Project Melody contagious? I guess is what I have to know. Do they have the coof? Would I be safe? You're going to have to follow up on that. From Sean Mulvaney, shout out our Wall Street bets. Well, I gotta. How many collages of shit are you going to be able to put together from Wall Street bets? Let's be honest. With all the shit that happened with the Robinhood app, especially when the market. I love this, by the way. So Robinhood, was it 3 consecutive days crashed on people? They couldn't access their money or do anything. So all the shit they had done, the shorts, their puts, everything was just like auto locked in, and people were losing money hand over fist. And it happened once, and then it happened immediately again. And there's like a day or two that people thought it was fixed, and then it happened again. I almost think Robinhood is fucking with the people that use it, just to see how many people's bank accounts they can devastate. From the Orange Ninja Turtle, Jim, you're back. Ralph can't stream to me like you can. Only you can make me feel that special way and tell that whore, Jade, she can't hog you forever. From Spiffy, hey Jim, can you call my friend Lucas a dirty Jew? Well, I think he's got the message. He's going to come looking for you now, Spiffy. From Dak Jacobs, you're going to join a faction when the apocalypse comes. I don't know what faction I'm going to join. Probably the one that controls the most toilet paper would be the safest one to go with. From Flounder and Flucter, Jim, based on your streams, I canceled my vacation to Tokyo I was supposed to take back in February and moved up a surgery that I needed. I want to say thank you. You probably saved my life. Glad I could help. Also, I'm glad you got your shit taken care of ahead of time because, yeah, I think things are going to be difficult going forward for at least a little while. Any what do they classify them as? Non-essential surgeries, but there's a word for it, and I'm blanking on it. But stuff like dental work, plastic surgeries, things that aren't necessarily life-threatening but might be needed for whatever reason, those are going to be really difficult to get. And then even the important surgeries are things that you could get done right away or maybe wait a little while on, but aren't COVID related. I wouldn't want to walk into a hospital in New York City right now to go for a surgery for like a fucking appendix or something like that. I'd be terrified that this shit's going to get me somehow. With the amount of doctors it infects and nurses it infects, and just how it clings to surfaces, yeah, it would be nightmarish to have to worry about navigating that. From the rotting dog, did you hear that millions of people are missing from the Chinese phone companies? Yes, that is something we will cover in depth when it comes up, when I do a stream on Sunday. Walker Ray, hey Jim, have you listened to DSP's bankruptcy phone call? The judge asked him to explain his business. WWE, Patreon, among other things. Also, Rip Boogie. Oh my God, is there a record of that? Because I want to listen to it. I want to listen to DSP explain to a bankruptcy judge why he spent $40,000 on a mobile phone WWE game and how that is in any way business related. Well, somebody link my good friend on Twitter that because I need to watch that after this stream. From Andrew, Japanese Emperor Sweetie Jim, the Denver mayor closed his dispensaries and liquor stores and then took it back 3 hours later. Well, that's why you've got to prep because you never know what they're going to close and what they'll shut down. I'm not even really that much of a drinker, he said. I'm really not even that much of a drinker, but I have my own little stockpile of liquor just in case shit gets shut down somewhere down the road. Because then I've got some nice cognac and rum and whiskey and vodka that's just ready to go if I can't ever seem to get it because a mayor or a governor shuts things down. From Judas Rude, my girlfriend works in a hospital, three floors full of coronavirus patients, about 80 total. The state is only reporting 50 cases so far. I've heard similar stories coming from other people that there are hospitals that have patients or either they're confirmed to be infected or suspected because of a CAT scan or the symptoms they're presenting, and they're not getting added into the tally. I don't know why certain states are doing that. Maybe they don't want to freak people out. It's weird, but I have heard similar stories from other places. From Zen Master Me, GI No Mo Sucky Sucky for $5. Judas Rude. Oh, no, is that? You posted that twice, but I got it. The Rotting Dog. It's a good thing I listened to you. I would never have been this prepared. Well, it's always good it's a Boy Scout motto. Always be prepared. From Donald S. This is to prove Einstein, I almost said Einstein. Epstein killed himself. People are having no fun and bought lots of toilet paper. How many suicides are coming? I don't know. Wall Street has a limit, I think. I think once the Dow hits a certain point, they start throwing themselves out windows. I don't know what the splat ratio is, but I know there's a number that once that number goes low enough, they go low enough right out the window. From Andrew K. Welcome back, boss. What would you make of chaos scenario where Trump doesn't want to keep dealing with this and doesn't run again in November? I mean, if this thing keeps going or if it gets really bad, how are we going to do elections in November? Has anybody even really thought about that possible scenario? Because that's going to be really weird. From Bravo, we got while the getting was good. Thanks for your fear mongering. We were well prepared. I'm glad you got it ready ahead of time. From Kooky Carl the Goblin Slayer, I have arrived, Jimbo. I would never miss this, pal. Also, buy a laser rifle. They're better than normal bullet guns and rare since they're secret tech. I will look for a laser rifle or a Dewey. I thought they were called Deweys, directed energy weapons, but whatever. I'll look for one if I can find one. From Pineapple Pizza, Koof Koof, I missed your voice, Koof Koof, no homo though. That one guy, more than 10 gathered, off to the Koof camps we go. From Brian Molina, only Winnie the Pooh would cheat against the protesters and still lose. Legato Madi, you know, those party kazoo things you blow and a cooled paper tube rolls out. There's this chick on eFucked that does that with a prolapsed that comes straight out. It's terrible and awesome. Well, eFucked has all sorts of amazing videos on it. Surprised it's still around. From James Beanick, Susan has the coof and is mad as hell at it. From Eric Kent, thanks man, was able to prep. Here is some cabbage. Thank you. From Perigi Syzygy, Susan is a fetid harlot. Whatever's biatch. Thanks, Jim. From Wyvern F, 1 million coofers by Monday, Jimmy. What say you? I don't think we're going to hit a million by Monday, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the first week of April, so I mean that's like 10 days, that we have a million worldwide. Probably even sooner, to be honest with you, but we'll see. From Corona Chan, woo, hugs for everybody. From Sean Turner, member stream when? DSP iDubbbz stream when? I don't know. Why would I do an iDubbbz stream? I've been so focused on this Corona Chan shit that first off, I don't know what there is to talk about iDubbbz right now. Also, I didn't even know DSP had a bankruptcy phone call with a judge where he talked about a mobile phone game. And I have to fucking listen to that now. Like, this Corona Chan shit's been so all encompassing for me. I put blinders on and I blocked off everything else. From Hundito, I'm a nutritionist working for my country's healthcare. If they do not pay me by the end of this month, screw grandma and her malnourished grandson. From Giggy Awoo, I really appreciate your content, old and new. You never fail to make me laugh, especially with your deviance and persecution vids. So I just wanted to show you some positivity in these trying times. I appreciate it. From Tristan, are the Chinese lying to us? Surely not, right? From Trey Durant, the CCP will pay for this. I coof in their general direction. From Misaki Nakahara, I'm coming. Thank you for sharing. From Kyle Dawson, your live stream isn't showing up on any notification. That's because they don't want you to see it. From Son of Angron, all hail Jim, the prophet of Nurgle. The Plague Father has chosen you to herald his daughter Corona Chan's eternal reign over the earth. Hail Nurgle. From Padre Speaks, Jim, so the fabulous SOB have some shekels on me. I got friends who went from schmuckles to denial to panic and have settled into some kind of despair. It's time to forcibly quarantine cases so we can rise up from this. From Liliana, Corona Chan is removing kebab. DC in March to stop the spread. We all need to personally meet, touch, and coof on our congressmen and senators. Doc Windowlicker, you'll probably get arrested for that. There was a woman that went into a grocery store. I'll look up the article and have it for Sunday. She went into a grocery store in I can't remember what state it was, and she started coughing on all their produce and told them, I have coronavirus, and then kept coughing on stuff and left. And then the store had to throw out $35,000 worth of shit, and then they arrested her. And I think almost every day across the country in every single state has said, if you threaten somebody with coughing on them and you say you have coronavirus, you're going to get arrested for terroristic charges. So they're done. Somebody tried this on a cop too. It was some kid. I think he got pulled over. I don't know if he was like speeding or running away from the police. And he told the officer, I have coronavirus, and coughed on him. And they still arrested his ass. But now instead of like a speeding ticket and a chase, he's got terrorist charges on him too. From Austin M. People that accept the Chinese numbers also think that Earth is flat. I'm going to work my beer supplier job and use Trump bucks to buy a Switch with Neat Crossing. Well, I hope you enjoy your Switch in Animal Crossing. Nice, relaxing game to keep, take your mind off all the crazy shit going on. From Triggers McNickers, I suspect that the initial Wuhan strain was bioengineered deadlier one, but it mutated to milder asymptomatic versions once it hit Europe. And the U.S.-China's true body count is probably insane. From David H. I got let go from my security job at the lumber yard the other day. Here's some of my last paycheck I got today. From Ethereal, David, if you can get unemployment insurance, even if it's only short term, it'll be bumped up by $600 from the federal pay or the whatever bill it was, whatever they ended up calling it, the relief package, the coronavirus bill. But it should be bumped by $600 per week or $2,400 per month of extra unemployment insurance that you just automatically get if you're unemployed. From Ethereal, 10 good boy points have been deposited in your social credit account. From Banal Vulgarian, I'm working from home next to my 12 pounds of rice in stocked pantry. Thanks for warning me, Jim. I was already prepared when the stores got raided. From Flamenco, looking forward to the D&D stream on Sunday. From Legato Madi, I'm a janitor and I've been seeped in bleach all week. I'm respected now. I'm the holder of the paper and bleach. I am now the decider. From 1DWK Jr., your stream is hidden from my feed. Shadowband, Susan Fricker. Jason Weaver, I've been waiting for this stream. Love you, Jim. See you on the other side. So glad I didn't kill myself so I can see this happen. From Histrion, gonna buy 500 pounds of gummy bears with my Trump bucks. I'll then form them into a long, thin rope to insert up my junk. What, what are you spending them on, Jim? I think I'll do. If I'm being honest with you, I'd probably just put it in. I'd hold on to it. With uncertainty in the air like this, you don't know what's going to happen, how bad the country's going to get. Is it going to clear up in a day, a month? Is it going to take 12 to 18 months? I have no idea. I would hold on to it and make it last. Lots of, that $1,200, you can buy a lot of rice and beans with that. From Johnny Boya, nothing burger fags blown the fuck out. Elites infected, blue check marks can't give rim jobs. Corona Chan is the happening we need, but not the one we deserve. From Sil 80D, lock China under lock and key. Screw the who. From Christian Soto, Hubei police fighting Jingzhou police. Hubei won. Now Chinese rushing Hong Kong border checkpoint. Chinese civil war. Yeah, those were the videos I was talking about earlier, where they clashed on the bridge and people were stealing riot shields from the police and beating them with it. From Anthony Seibert, wherever you go, whatever you do, the Wuhan flu will follow you. From Plantation Sensation, you don't come up in my subscription list at all now. Not surprising. Kooky Carl the Goblin Slayer, they need to make Mr. Metokur Funko Pops. Ah ha ha ha. While they are forcing GameStop employees to stay working, which is bullshit, GameStop is not an essential fucking business, and I feel bad for people getting paid in GameStop fun bucks on those gift cards they give you once a week that you have to go through like 4 different stores to turn into cash. Total bullshit. Scarfy the Strange, there might not have been enough testing kits for the countries left. From Sins, I was careless and someone coofed on me, and now I'm in bed trying to wait it out. Pray for me. Well, you could be one of the lucky 80% that just rides it through for 5 to 6 days, and then you're good to go. I hate Yankees. Guys, I'm sorry, but I got arrested before all this and was praying something big enough to make my case get dismissed would happen. So you're to blame. From Maximiliano Mayor Azago, I told so many since January to prepare for the Phantom Menace. Told them you were covering it and how China is lying to them. Who said China had it under control? Now everyone has been freeloaded. Ryan A. The feeling when buying the dip actually worked. Thank God I sold yesterday before the market went to shit again. From Eduardo Ramirez. The world might not, or the world might end, but at least we have dab emotes. That's the thing I'm thankful for. From Hong Kong, check out Corona Chan Wuhan. Got you all infected. It will make for a perfect ending song. Also, check Taiga of Genesis. A group of college kids got a Seki to 1 million years BC. Pretty decent manga. Oh, thanks for the recommendation. I've been reading a lot lately with all the spare time. So, more recommendations, the better. Yeah, I've got to log into my anime list because I think people have been leaving a lot of recommendations, and I need to catch up on that because I've been burning through a lot of shit at the current pace I'm going. From Ethereal, it's my birthday today, and while I can't spend it with my friends, having a Jimbo stream is the next best thing. Hope everyone in chat is still here this time next year. Thanks for the good times, Jim. Well, hopefully you make it through the year for another birthday, and this shit gets dealt with, and we have some amazing vaccine that doesn't do the terrible. What is there? There's some horrible. What is it? Fauci was up there at one of the press conferences trying to give people hope. He's like, yeah, we're waiting for this vaccine. It's going to be good, but hopefully it doesn't do that thing where the vaccine makes it worse. Was he taking the piss out of people? Hopefully the vaccines we make don't make you sicker. From Big Text, Conger, Corona Chan has blessed my workplace. Have some dollary dues before I go. Still at 80. Glad you're back, Jim, despite the world going to shit. From Crazy Red, cheers for the warning, Jim. I was ready when the food and toilet paper started running out here in the UK. Preppers are based, panickers are gay. From Di Butler, Corona Chan checks are supposed to come out April 18th. Well, there you go. April 18th looks like the date. Everybody's getting their government bucks. So that is, yeah, that's hopefully we live long enough to make it till then. From Sude off the cuff, got the notification, but because my YouTube tab is open, the bells are lit, my phone nothing. Why isn't the CDC part of the DHS? Also, upside, liquor stores deliver in my area if you feel sick. Shh, hangover is feeling sick, fam. Here for hentai games or FPS. You've got actual liquor store deliveries where you are, you lucky fucker? That one guy earlier probably would have appreciated it once the fucking mayor of his town shut down all the liquor stores. Yeah, I'd like to order about 18 bottles. And swing by McDonald's and get me a hamburger while you're out there. Just don't goof on nothing. From Jacobus March. Hey Jim. Just wanted to thank you for spreading the word in January. Family is well stocked up and armed. Haven't left my house in a week thanks to you. From Legato Mate, I heard DSP has a good solution. The children clip. I don't even think I have it queued up, I'll be honest. I cleared out the little OBS thing to get ready for new streams. So I have to reload all my clips. Jason Weaver just sent me my Trump bucks Epic Yoshi. Hello, Papa Jim. Glad you stopped having sex with Black Man to stream for us. Thank you. Well, I got to get back to it soon. I mean, it's just such a great pastime. From Nick Ice Jin or Rick. Oh, I think there was a secret message in there. Hopefully we can decipher it. From Pedro A. Here in New York City, bunkering down, Jim. Take my money. New York politicians are inept, saying New Yorkers can go outside, get some sun, which increases infection rate with no curfew at all. Also, tonic water contains quinine. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's weird watching different regions enact different rules. There's not like a cohesive guide they're all following. Some are like shelter in place, some are issuing stay at homes, some are shutting down businesses that other states are allowing open, even though they both say, one says it's essential, the other says it's non essential. Different rules regarding travel, restaurants, everything. It's really weird. It's bizarre. From Satan's Advocate. Hi, Jim. Got me a handgun and a rifle. You think 300 rounds each is enough in case I can't get any more ammo? It's a good start. Hopefully, the apocalypse doesn't completely descend upon us. But I think you've got a good starting gear. If this is a game, that's good starting gear. I mean, you can pistol start in Doom, so you should be good. You got a rifle too. From Kenneth N. Press S to spit on the mayor of Big Bear, who thought it would be a good idea to hold polar bear swim on March 8th. Brilliant idea. From JXA. Hey Jim, I live in New York City and work in a supermarket, and it's been a nightmare the past 2 weeks with people panic buying, and the first thing to always go out of stock is toilet paper. It's insane. I don't think many Americans are familiar with what a bidet is. And I don't know. I guess I can't understand what the motivation to buy up toilet paper takes up so much space compared to anything else you could buy. And if you're going to buy, if you think like the world's ending, or this is going to drag on for months of quarantine, or we have to wait out a vaccine for 18 months, you think the first priority would be like, I need shelf stable foods. I should get like some sardines and tuna and spam and some I don't know, rice and beans and stuff. But I don't know either why they all go for the toilet paper. I really don't get it. From Defter Tuna, only a fool believes China's numbers. From Mothy Eagle, work at the airport around shipping, and they are actively lying to their employees, saying they are only shipping food and medical supplies. It's the normal cheap consumer goods. From Dr. Glitch, Hashem will kill us to the tune of Kum Susser Todd, and I am ready. From James Beanick, apparently we're up to 8 strains of Corona Chan now. Oh, well, it's good to know. From Woodstock TC, guess YouTube is suppressing your vid. Got the notification, but it's not showing in my overview. Had to follow a link directly. Other live channels show. Well, that's fine. We've got a nice cozy quarantine stream talking about a quarantine. It's highly meta, really, when you think about it. From M. Comatose, hey Jim, I wrote a song called Bad Coof and Just a Flu Bro on Spotify and Apple Music. I think you'll like them. Thanks for keeping me posted in the Clown Fiesta. From Honky Kong, Free China. 123, Mr. Llama. Nice to see our favorite weatherman. I'm in New Zealand, and we are now at our 451 cases. Can I get an F in the chat? How did New Zealand get hit? Is it all the rich people that fled there? Do you think they brought it with them? Or was it people getting knocked off like cruise ships? What exactly? I have to look into that because I kind of thought like New Zealand would be good, Madagascar would be good. Greenland would be good, but apparently that's not the case. From Chorgan Scornhammer, should we compare states to countries in Europe? You could. You could. Especially based on infection rate and populations. It's weird. From Jackson Rotting, Glass China in India, and the Middle East too. Dylan Farr. Jim, I have friends who say not only is this a nothing burger, it's a government conspiracy to control us. Typical TDS friends. Well, what government? Every single nation on earth is dealing with this right now. I mean, it started in China, but every country is dealing with it. Some more than others. So I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what, how this would be a government conspiracy to control us when it's worldwide. From Wuhanism, keep an eye out on Venezuela. It's about to go Deus Ex, Kung Flu you. How long till they just glass us? It's coming, I guess. Elizabeth Bathory, reminder, Trump is crying over governors being mean to him. Guess he did do that. He was upset with was it, I don't know their names, but it was the governor of Washington, and was it the governor of Michigan? I think he was a little pissed off with both of them. Inslee, right, was the guy, I think he was like a Democratic candidate, but I don't remember much about him. And I don't know who the governor of Michigan is. I have no fucking clue. I don't know much about any of the governors. I really know Cuomo because of the whole CNN and his brother being like he gets mad if you call him Fredo. Like if you've never seen the clip, look up CNN Cuomo and look up Fredo in relation to that and him flipping shit if you call him Fredo. It really pisses him off. From Mr. Sparkles, play the synthwave version of Calm Susser Todd as an ending. From Jason Weaver, Donnie Dollars now, goddammit, From Dash, the British knew how to deal with the Chinese Opium Wars too, Electric Boogaloo when? The Chosen One. I say let the Middle Eastern people have Winnie the Woo and have them pay a little visit to China, ba-boom. From V Sniper 64, the Mormons are bringing thousands of missionaries home that are spreading through the states. How fricked are we? Don't stop black people or black pilling us, Jim. Mr. Furl. Khan Academy has a video showing how to estimate number of actual cases versus reported cases based on death rate. 1.4 million Americans infected, 33 million worldwide. Ashley 472074, your advice a few months ago saved my ass. Enjoy the super chat. Also, all the nothing burgers in my area are losing their minds, while my family and I are safe with a year's worth of food. Stay safe, you crazy fool. Well, I'm glad it worked out for you, Ashley. From Black Var Zero, looks like we're returning to the 1930s with a Great Depression and warehouses full of patients in iron lungs. Colton Long, getting job offers as a phlebotomist in Michigan, was told during interviews they are expecting an explosion in hospitalizations. Pay better, be good. Dog's Eye ain't on. Yo, Jim, check Crossroads with Joshua Phillip. New vid at 2419. Are we all just collateral damage in a China power struggle? Well, we're direct damage from Chinese incompetence, is how I'd put it. Algamu 2. So many people looked at me when I asked if they stocked up, as they told me it was just the flu and that the cold killed some number. Now they're so quiet. I've noticed that too. There's been a drastic decrease in the nothing burger motherfuckers, as this thing just won't go away. From Chingy Bingy, got laid off today. I had a future which is now fully dark. I personally blame Winnie the Pooh and the Chinese government gang. From Dash, China lied, people died. From Desram, Jim, do you think the CCP could be in trouble? Yes, I do. Came in common. We have to make China pay for what they did. From Leather Collar, Jim, you're not showing on trending for the amount of people watching right now. Winnie and Susan are out to get you. Now they put us in a nice little quarantined area to allow us to enjoy our preparations for the apocalypse. Well, everybody else is listening to easy listening jazz and whatever else is top trending. Is that Peppa the Pig shit still up there? Always takes number one. From Mr. Regu the Great, hey Jim, I work at Mickey D's, but I use an N95 mask and gloves. How coofed am I? Also, how do I get coworkers to stop giving me shit about my mask? Well, you can laugh at them at their funeral when you're the only one to fucking survive because you have an N95 mask and they don't. I'd say nice preparations. Well done. Honky Kong, job suggestion, become a security guard, work construction sites or factories. From Glaucoma, World War III, the world versus China. St. Nicholas, thumbs up. Brian Shields, when you die from the coof, will Jade eat your corpse or wear your flab as a cape? Why not both? From Alex Better, Nuke China, keep doom posting. From Heart of a Zoomer, hey Jim, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but thoughts on Negative XP? Do you listen to his music, and if so, what's your favorite track? I don't think I'm familiar with Negative XP. I'd have to look it up after the show, after the stream, and see if I am. The chances are I've heard it before, but I'm not pulling it up right now. I can't remember if I have or not. From Honky Kong, chances of China spurging out and starting World War III, minimal, I suppose, unless there's like a full-blown rebellion, in which case that definitely gets amped up. From Ashley, 47, 20, 74, China needs to be held responsible. If not, the super spreaders need to be. The Jerry woman and the Chinese lady who took suppressants and left for France and lied. Yeah, that was one of the earlier stories about the lady that was bragging about it on her social media that she snuck into France while avoiding airport checkpoints and hiding symptoms. That was a lot of bullshit. Yeah, she should face some repercussions for that. From Otaku Man 25, I always wanted a Winnie the Pooh glass scripture. From Radio Ruin, we need to reinstate the nationalist government as rightful custodians of China. From Possible Double, McCarthy did nothing wrong. Spider Hollow, hey Jim, what do you think of the WHO declaring Corona a pandemic only after Xi Jinping declares victory over the virus? Seemed fishy. Yeah, I don't trust the World Health Organization, at least not under Tedros. I think the guy is money motivated by the biggest donors, which you can almost word for word track his praise of any country based on the amount of money they're paying who. And I think that his failure to declare it a pandemic earlier and his hand waving away of it as being as bad as it was contributed in its spread and in people thinking it's just a flu, as we read stories now about younger people getting it and getting really sick. From Caleb Suttles, adore your work. Please make more videos during this time. Your coverage is the only thing getting us through the apocalypse. Don't catch the woo flu. You're ahead of our time. From Bubblegum Gun, monarchist nationalist is less than fascist ethno-nationalist. From J-Trap Swag 96, hey Jim, could you tell my friend Alec that his waifus are trash and he should feel bad about them? Thanks for all the grooming, Papa. Well, Alec, your waifus are shit, and you should feel awful for liking them. From Bubblegum Gun, if no pics of piles of dead bodies didn't happen, well, would you settle for the pits in Iran that you can see from outer space? Or would you settle for a collection of ashes from the furnaces in Wuhan that they ran 24 hours a day continuously at 17 different locations? From Trigger McNicker, who betrayed the world harder, the communist Chinese or the globalist Jews? I think everybody's gotten fucked right now in the ass by the Chinese. Even Israel's getting hammered. Do you remember at the beginning of this, when Israel wanted to close its border, and it wanted to prohibit people from China coming into Israel because they didn't want to get the flu, and the Chinese ambassador or one of the political envoys to Israel had told them this is just like the Holocaust and tried to play that card against Israel. And then recently an article came out, like a Uno reverse card, that said the first confirmed death in Israel was a Holocaust survivor. So it's like they Uno'd it, they reversed it right back at the Chinese. From Sued Off the Cuff, President Trump versus Bill Gates on treatment. Fauci has 100 million conflict of interest national file. The serious stuff. Wuhan got you all infected. Emily Yukas, let's laugh. You know, I saw Bill Gates. He was giving an interview. I think it was on CNN. And he said something weird. I'll try to clip it out and have it available for Sunday. But I know that he was part of the group that did the simulation of a virus, like a disease X, spreading throughout the world with an estimated 65 million dead, and then talking about how this was like a nightmare scenario. But Gates has been giving a lot of interviews lately. I think he's given 2 or 3. And it was the most recent one. He said it was something very bizarre. And again, I'll have the AMA stuff where he's talking about digital certificates and proof that you're not infected and shit like that. Hopefully for Sunday. From Drink Deep, Jim Ireland is on full lockdown as of midnight, but my partner and I work as an essential industry. Only a matter of time before the Corona Chan gets us. Well, remember to wash your hands a lot. Wear a mask if you can. And just avoid, I don't know what your industry is. If you have customers, avoid the customers. as best you can. Get like a 6 foot stick and like I don't know, just hold it in front of you so they can't. Just feel like if you bump into the stick, you're too close. Back up. From whatever's bitch. Millions won't be counted in Latin America. Guns down in hail. Let the world make a great wall around China. From Gutter Waif, I was kicked out of my family, or I was kicked out by my family during this crisis. I now believe I have COVID, but I'm thankfully recovering in my car. Huzzah, free Wi-Fi. I'm glad you're doing videos, man. Please never stop and stay safe. It's pretty fucking harsh of your family to kick you out when you get COVID during all this shit. And they couldn't let you. Did they kick you out because you're sick? Because that's a pretty dick move. I'm going to be honest with you. Safe and sound equine. Hallelujah. The flu king has returned with more prophecies of doom. From Hamburger Hamburg Glarster. Stuck working a large telecom, going into people's houses, installing internet and TV. They're supposed to inform us if they are sick, but they aren't. They lie because they want their furry porn. That would suck as well. From Ashley, and Arizona golf courses are listed as essential businesses for boomers. Look it up. That is fucking dumb. But I guess you're going to at least get your social distance on a golf course. If you're a good golfer, if you're shit at golf, you're going to be right up people's asses. You can only use our golf course if you come in below par. From Multi Nanners. Hey Jim, saw you on the kill stream with Dick, and you said something about food delivery petering off because people don't want others handling food. I work for one of those companies, and sales are up 10%. Fun times. Yeah, not food delivery as in you're getting groceries for people. I'm talking like I think it's is it DoorDash and Uber Eats. I think people will get more paranoid about that kind of food delivery, especially in other stuff like pizza delivery, as this disease progresses, and if people perceive it as being more deadly than they perceive it now, or more infectious than they perceive it now, people aren't going to want to, call a pizza joint or have a DoorDash or Uber Eats because they'll be like, well, they handled the food. What if they coughed or sneezed by it? It'll make them paranoid. From Inix, 200 plus cops have been quarantined in Detroit alone, and one operator dead. Things have been getting crazy in the streets because of this. Yeah, as more law enforcement get sick, especially in urban areas and big cities, it's going to get a little crazy. From Maxwell Vale, Boogie 1488 was confirmed positive for Chinese airborne AIDS and passed away while on ventilator today. He survived by his wife's son. From Biddy, if I find the dude who shoved my 78-year-old grandma in the grocery store for a carton of eggs, I will end him. Stay safe out there, folks. Well, he's a cunt if he pushed your 78-year-old grandmother for a fucking carton of eggs. Hopefully you find him, Biddy. Your name here. If Corona Chan is still at it by the time fall rolls around, you will see people dropping on the streets just like China. Winter is coming. From Steamed Hams, I love your vids, Jim. You should check out the new Tang Dynasty NTD News Network. They report international news, including things that China doesn't want you to know. They have 2 channels on YouTube. From Baron von Ungern Sternberg, please call my pal Valentius an Angloid for me. Valentius? You have to spell it out phonetically for him. Remember, I'm partially retarded and have difficulty saying simple words like hyperbole and pronounce it as hyperbole. So now Valentitus, that's what I'm going with, and I know that's wrong, is going to laugh at you for wasting that because now I haven't called him an Angloid. Sil ADD, Jim, we can't trust these Clown World orgs after this. They will continue to suck up to the Chinese. What do you think they really want to have happen after this? We just got to watch. We got to watch it play out and see what happens, especially over the next 2 to 3 months. I think it's going to be really telling on how governments handle it, what the organizations around the world do, where this is going. From Michael Huzitz, of all the cases that had an outcome, 17% died. From Mr. X Death 57, 2 EMTs at my job just got the woof-woo, brah. Each day I dread more and more coming to work. When I got food and get started at a plague doctor just for saving lives like this is just disheartening. Yeah, anybody in emergency services, if you're a nurse, if you're EMT, if you're a doctor, I mean, even if you're like a first responder, like fire department, even police sometimes show up on scene to do stuff with medical stuff. It all sucks. You guys are going to be basically shoved into the front. Hopefully they give you something, proper masks, gloves, and shit. But with all the reports coming in, it seems like everybody's short on everything, which they shouldn't be. There are more than enough corporations and factories that should be able to pump this shit out continuously. Daily Freaks, I'm essential, no protection, got a pay decrease, my governor's a joke, and none of the boomers around me take this seriously. I'm going to die, bro. Well, hopefully they go before you so you at least can flip them off. From Paul Cornelius, you see Monday Matt's trying to blame fish tank drinkers' death on Trump. Your thoughts? Well, I don't think that this is going to be the miraculous drug everybody else does. I think if you're running out to buy aquarium grade medicine of any kind and drinking it from the bottle, you're probably an idiot. And I wouldn't blame that on Trump. I don't remember Trump saying, hey, go to the local fucking pet store, buy some aquarium shit that sounds like what I just told you, and just chug it. Because why not? No, I can't. That one I can't blame on Trump. I'm sorry. That was just stupid to do. Some shit's not made for human consumption. Read the bottle. From Burning Flame 97, Jim, I work at a local grocery store in Kentucky, and I've been working 7 days a week for 2 weeks now. Have some of my overtime shekels for covering this. From Love Tap, methinks Italy's Hug and Asian Day was a poor idea. Yeah, it didn't really turn out too well for him, did it? From Solomana Lieto, I'm an essential living in Seattle. Wish me luck. From Set Zareth TV, Born to Wheeze, World in a Fuck, 400 billion coofs. Super Kitty Pogo Dance, I'm in Japan, can verify that we lied. F for Tokyo. Lifeless Loser, so how long before the Raiders start spawning? Give it about 10 months. From Dark Zide X, thanks to your reporting, I got prepped before the U.S. coofed itself to death. I have some extra prep cash on me. Get some cigs and on me and or buy the dip. Well, I'm waiting to buy that dip. I've been following Bill Mitchell's advice since 28,000 on the Dow and have lost millions of dollars on every dip that I've bought. From Heath J. Hey, Jim, can you call my friend John a dirty wagon burner? Cheers. John, you're a dirty wagon burner. Apparently your friend Heath is going with like a Joe Biden tier insult. Should I call him a pony-faced soldier next? From Ushanka Guy, what's the worst case scenario for the world? Worst case scenario is this is a disease that it doesn't go away. It stays in you, and you have constant reoccurrences of it. And the vaccine that's released is either bad for you, or it creates two different types of people, those who can be safe and those who can't, and you're always infectious. From Delaire, the numbers for Canada are a lie. There were 56 new cases in my province, bringing the total to 542. From Corona King, medical insider in a major city here, we're screwed. No one is taking this seriously, and supplies are minimal. Firefighters and ER workers already sick. Guys still saying it's nothing. God have mercy. Yeah, again, I feel bad for anybody on the front line dealing with this shit. You all got left high and dry by pretty much everybody that should have had shit stockpiled and ready to go. They should have had a nice system in place that was ready to get gear and equipment out. We had 2 months of a build-up to this. I mean, even if you're not using the Defense Production Act or whatever it is, even if you're not using wartime powers, you still could have tapped 3M on the shoulder. You could have tapped a bunch of companies on the shoulder and said, hey, we got 2 months here. We need a fuck ton of masks and gloves and gowns and sanitizer and all that shit. 2 months heads up. Start pumping it out for us, not anybody else. Just pump the shit out. We'll give you top dollar, and then get your stockpiles prepared. From at C30F, I don't know how to pronounce. Huge spike in human trafficking for grandmas incoming. From Burning Flame 97, it's gonna be bad enough that my church had to close down and do sermons on live streams on their Facebook page. Live stream church services. That could be. We could see the future where everybody tunes in to Facebook on Sunday for church service or their mosque or their synagogue. I don't know how those times would break down, what day of the week or time of the day, but you get the point. Facebook becomes the new religious mecca, the digital mecca of all world religions because everybody's quarantined. Metokur's Lunicorn Archives, Bill Mitchell, almost did cookie math on Twitter. I know, I saw him very close to it. Makas Lebowski, sup Jimbo. This is the absolute state of clown world. I'm ready to sit in my bunker with my whiskey stockpile and laugh at the world's end. God bless. From Ushanka Guy, can we get a wellness check for Eugene? Well, Eugene switched it up. He went from saying it was, just a flu bro to using that argument against Trump. It's very interesting how quickly a position changes when you don't like a politician. For like 2 months, he told everybody it's just the flu. Stop being racist. And the moment Trump said, It's just a flu. Eugene flipped out and completely did a 180. From Rude Boy Club, you possibly saved me and my family's lives, Jim. I started stockpiling in January, got a shotgun, and have plenty of shells. Thank you, Jimbo. James is based. Well, hopefully you guys ride it out nice and safe with your stockpile, and things finally calm the fuck down, and we're all back to normal. From Maggie Rose, glad to hear your voice, Jim. Thanks for the streams. From Sypha Benitis, I've accepted that I'll die. In retail hell, no one follows the social distancing here. And the amount of greed, entitlement, ignorance I see every shift is absurd. Take my minimum wage before I die, please. From Nobody, please buy mosquito repellent. Don't trust who. From Big Guy, Biden's gone. Biden's gonna bury the Wu flu like he did those dogs on stage. From that random guy at 146, 5G being installed in your local schools. They're using the quarantine to install 5Gs or 5G. Wee woo, not a meme. Act now or roll over. Stop 5G. ILY Jim. I've heard the 5G thing get brought up before, but I've not looked into any of it. From James Smith, hey Jim, love your streams. My girlfriend is basketball American and older than me. How screwed is she? Well, it seems, well, first off, your girlfriend probably has got a better odds than you do. From what I understand, dudes are much more susceptible to this than women, at least as far as the severity goes. One of the problems early on was China didn't release a lot of patient data, and then Europe was really slow on it. But it seems to affect men generally more than it does women, and it seems to be more severe in men than it is in women. So you're probably more fucked. From Stefan Remus, Italy is wrecked and Albania is in Africa. T. Mr. Metokur 1 week ago. Albanians wrecked. So is the rest of the world, to be honest. Help me, Jim. From Death Machine 513, bats themselves are basically biolabs themselves. Look up how your immune system works. You don't need a biolab. Just a room full of bats, and you'll cook up tons of bioweapons in no time. True, but remember that before all this happened, we had two different instances of Chinese agents, one in America and one in Canada, going to what were essentially virology labs or biolabs and taking specific data and samples related to coronavirus and bringing it back to Wuhan, where their biolab level 4 facility is located. In fact, they had two facilities, a virology institute and then another lab that was in their university, which was both of these two, by the way, are in proximity of about 8 to 20 miles from the wet market. So there's a lot of coincidences there when it comes to how this all came about. From Leroy Majors, no coom for you. Harold M., the Han and the Juden must pay what they owe. I'm your Huckleberry. Silence, the sound of our digital panopticon prison doors slamming shut. Brave New World is being pencil whipped into reality as we sit here. Whatever the case, thanks for your coverage, Jim. From Commie Catcher 5000, reminding everyone to stay inside. Corona will turn Chads into eunuchs and free up the Stacys. Is it finally time to rise up? Is it finally time to take victory? From Coitus Media, Jim, please play the Emily Yukas song. From James Meanick, testicle damage was found in cats in 2001. From Damian Maddox, chop China into 40 pieces and give 2 to the most affected. From Chem Trail Mix, have you heard the rumor about Chinese companies selling used clothes in cheap garbage bags in mass quarantines? Also, RE3 next Friday, Jim, peace. Oh, and it jumped a little on me. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but I'll just work my way backwards on this one. From Hell, anime waifu stream when? Well, maybe once we reach the end of it all. From Randu, entire special needs center in Texas is infected. There's one from EMH, but that's been retracted. Let's see here. From Tristan, Western Civ, Koofs the bed, my peepee hurts, what to do? From James Hools, hearing rumblings that inactive reserve Navy corpsmen and Army medics are going to be recalled to active duty in the U.S. to fight the Wu flu. I have heard that they're asking basically anybody with any medical experience and any capacity if they want to come back. They're even graduating people earlier. There was a story that was, I believe, people were graduating from medical school 3 months early just to be able to serve in hospitals. From Cheeto Bandito, your live stream doesn't even show up in my sub feed. From Chicken Bone, thanks so much because you have been reporting this so long. I've had 3 people tell me they should have listened when I prepped. You're the man. From Laughing Kuru, did you see Fat Jumbo try to say that it's Trump's fault that a couple of drank fish cleaner? I swear he gets more embarrassing every day. No, I don't watch Monday and Matt. I don't need to see DVD reviews from Walmart. From Gothic Nerd Chick. Yo, Jim, check out the fact that Charles Lieber, the Harvard scientist that got arrested, had ties to Bill Gates and Wuhan Institute of Virology. Yeah, I just mentioned that, but that was one of the stories we covered early on when this all began back in January. I think whenever, God, one of the first streams we talked about that. From King Grim, hey Jim, my family has rations stored up thanks to the coverage. Hopefully I won't die, although in California that might be hard. From Fritz Leschenbaraner, okay, do hast COVID. Singer Rammstein sick. From John Titer, apparently he's taken his time machine back to this stream. You should check out the proximal origins of SARS-CoV-2. From Veneman, watch David Goldberg Final Warning 2019, Project Pogo, and Project, am I saying this right, Zypher, by the channel name Mr. Turner. From Joshua Larson, the cereal that runs the world is Juicios. From Pancho Vio, David Say thinks Corona is a fake globalist conspiracy. You should talk to him. Also, buy coffee filters, lads. New figs have never run out of TP before. From Akimbo Fist, I wake in peace to no alarm in a city on a farm. My temperature is through the roof. Hack, hack, coof, coof. Shall I continue? From Yellow Flash 2, thanks for the tip on finding mass at the hardware store. I cleared a Lowe's out the day after your stream. I'm all set now. Oh, well, congrats. M62259, do you think society will collapse? I think it's going to take a real ass kicking. I'll be honest with you. I think we're in for maybe a little more than a recession, and quite an uncomfortable period for a year or so, and then 3 to 5 years of really trying to come back from where we are, depending on what estimate you want to go with, optimistic or pessimistic about how this disease is going to be taken care of. From Crumbles, when we panic buy, we buy toilet paper. When trees panic, they cut up human buttholes. That's good to know. From Castizo, how long before the Skid Row Thunderdome? Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Austin 101990. Did you hear AOC wants illegals to get Trump bucks? It's going to be impossible. I think it's tied to your social security number. From A Whammon of Color, hey Jim, have you ever watched the Slayers anime series, not the movie or Excel Saga? I believe I've seen both, to be honest with you, but it's been a while. From Zol Varing, do disagree with you on some sources, but always love the streams. Thanks for laughs. Glad to catch this. Oh, glad you're liking it. From Clever Foxman, if bank is closed, how do I get my check cashed? That's a good question. From Nobody, don't trust who, mosquitoes plus Wu flu equals dead. From Wayne Crane, did you hear about the 21 million cell phones? Yep, we've actually covered that. From Sood, off the cuff, I demand kindly please play Wuhan Got All You Infected by Emily Yukis. I hate Yankees. I won $50 for my brother by betting on Corona-chan, so here's some money. From Alest of 16. One thing is certain, no matter who gets coronavirus, DSP will still wake them up to make him dinner. That's very true. From Peter Pete, I was so happy till I was told I'm essential. I had planned to self-quarantine on my boat in the ocean. Rip me. Yeah, that is kind of, that would suck, man. The Nickerman, hey Jim, you get the Panzer's Dragoon remake? No, I have not. No, I've mostly just been kind of just following this shit in amazement as it's kind of sucked me in completely. From Keegan the Great, to be perfectly honest, I plan to off myself. You're going to use nicotine for that? I don't know why. I'll never have a family. Do you think there's hope, or should I do it? I think you should enjoy the show. How many movies have you rented, or video games have you played, or animes have you seen, or books you've read, where they talk about crazy shit like a pandemic and a potential world war and a financial collapse? This is all that shit rolled up into one. This is every book and movie and video game rolled up into one, happening in real time. And all you've got to do is look out the window and just watch it unfold. Just the craziest shit you could imagine is unfolding right now, and we don't even know which way it's going to go. But the show is too spectacular to look away from. I don't know how you could find yourself uninterested. From Zach Funk, how bad will the tantrum spiral be when everyone starts getting thrown out of their apartments on the 1st? Are you talking about there was some renters strike or something like that. I will try to talk about it on Sunday. From Suit Off the Cuff, Drifters anime is really nice. Evil Jesus for the fear, dyslexia I have. Italians and American doctors are already saying we are grossly underreporting deaths, writing off deaths as regular pneumonia or cardiac arrest. Yeah, which is what I've also heard is going on in Germany. But again, I don't know. I've heard Germany has all sorts of ways they're doing this, and there might be other reasons for why they have such a low death count. From Anthony Seibert, China lied, people died. Wherever you go, whatever you do, or Wuhan flu will follow you. Also, Susan, stop killing Jim streams. From Dr. Valence, making that Nurgle's army yet. Make station wagons great again. Trump is calling back retiree National Guards. Yep, it sounds, I've read something similar. Crispy Bacon, hey Jim. I listened to the latest MC Jarbo hit. It chronicles the lives of the intrepid Uber Eats driver in this trying time. Very inspirational. From CCP's long infectious dick, check political story about the C virus and military 327. I will check that out after the stream. From Keegan the Great, you make a good point. I'll sit and watch a while. I mean, really, it's like it really is like every fucking sci-fi movie or crazy book or video game. I mean, you couldn't have written. It's been 3 months of the craziest shit, and it just keeps going. Yeah, it's too spectacular to look away from. At least enjoy the show and see what happens. It's like walking out of a movie midway through or stopping a video game after the first 10 minutes. From Duck, my dementia-affected grandma is convinced it's the apocalypse. Should I feed her delusions? Well, I would recommend just feeding her some soup and keeping her comfortable and keeping her away from the koofers while all this crazy shit is going on. From Sword and Scale, Rabia is rabid. From Black Cube Mystery, trans on suicide watch when no gender reassignment. Yeah, that's one of the surgeries that they listed as non-essential. And so, yeah, you can't get one of those either now. From Mark C. Ferg, Chuck Finna, keep punching Z in the honeypot gym. From Rob Schmurder, what was the last video that got taken down? Some guy that got banned clicked on it and it wasn't there. The last video that got taken down, some guy that got banned clicked on it and it wasn't there. I don't know. From Brandon, less than 30,000 tests done in India. Doctors being assaulted in the streets. Pooper power getting flushed. Possibly the NSA supply line worker here, and my job's inventory is starting to groan. We can't fulfill orders like we used to. Manufacturers can't keep up, and our ability to distribute is slowing. Yeah, everything's starting to get ground up a little bit. You know, everybody's got the pressure pushed onto them. Things are starting to buckle a little bit here and there. As this, the longer this is protracted out, the further along it goes, the more months or more weeks to months that it goes, the worse it's going to get. Honestly, might be a good idea if you're out there and you're in a nice area to maybe make your own little victory garden, buy yourself a fishing pole, learn to fish. If you hunt, maybe take it up again if you've fallen out of favor with it. Just become a little self-sufficient, just to supplement what you've got in case supply lines start to dry up. You can do your own little garden. Won't hurt you. Learn to fish a little. It's not going to kill you. From CDG7, Biolab job advert dated 18th of November. Looking for postgrads to work on bat-to-human SARS infections? Check it out. It's still on their website. I would not doubt it. From Zach Funk, Italy being unable to cremate all their corpses and is waking people up about the cookie question. I believe that's what Bill Mitchell was going on about on Twitter. Josh the Remover, you better do an alien stream. That's my shit. I've read countless books on the subject, and I used to watch Ancient Aliens with my grandpa as a kid. Ancient Aliens is a great show. From Seculus Nicitator, I work at a paint store, and we are listed as essential. At least I get hazard pay, and nobody can come in the store except employees. Well, now there you go. If they have to wait outside and you bring them their shit, or like you hand it to them with a stick through the window, that's the way to do it. Apache Chief, welcome to the new 20s. Enjoy the ride. Oh, we all are enjoying the ride, aren't we? From Sword and Scale, Aaron Mankey has no genitals. From Sean Hiroyuki, Lunar Eternal Blue is my favorite RPG. Really surprised to hear you mention it first. No one talks about it. Sweetie the Freetard, my toe tag on my body. Better read Thanks Z when the Woo Fluke kills me. From Household Dog, looks like our sacrifice to the volcano in New Zealand didn't appease the gods. Back to the drawing board. From Rifleman 1002, apparently the EUCDC has started to state that the virus is not seasonal, so it will not slow down in the summer. She's here until she's eradicated. Well, in which case is a bad scenario. We've now gone to a more pessimistic timeline. From Zachary Ben, what do you believe are China's actual numbers of deceased? I'd have to know the real number of infected to guess. But I think it's a lot worse than they're stating. Their population density, because of their megacities and the regions that were affected, I just do not believe it's only 3,000 dead. That's just bullshit. And I don't think anybody else should believe it either. It's just not realistic in any capacity at this point. Sword and Scale, no, really, Adnan really did it from Iron Wolf Spear. Hey, Jim, I'm the guy you talked to about FedEx on the kill stream. Some Amazon guy in Cali kept spitting on packages. I wonder if Dick bought those DVDs. Laughed my ass off. From Defter Tuna, working overnights at a grocery store to clean stuff. Essential worker is just a way of saying expendable. All this for an extra $2 an hour. From Matt Clock, have you talked about all the Asians licking doorknobs on people's homes and being caught on security cameras? I do have footage of that. Multiple instances of shit like that we'll be looking at probably Sunday when I do the stream. From General Waris, seems strange how friendly Trump is with China considering how much he attacked them during his campaign run in 2016. Do they have something on him? I will admit I'm annoyed as shit. First, in one of his press conferences a day or two ago, he thanked them for putting in so many food orders with farmers, and then talked about what a great conversation he had with them recently, with Z, that is. I wouldn't be thanking people or talking nicely about them if they released a biological horror upon my people, but maybe that's just me. From Padre Speaks, truckers calling for Second Amendment nationwide for fears they'll be jacked if this gets worse. Yeah, I can imagine truckers being worried about having their shit fucked with if supplies start drying up. From Blue Crimson 217, can't wait till March on Beijing in my T51B. From Mega Harv, middle management is essential services that don't care about their asymptomatic workers is going to be the death of us all. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, and get a head start on the lung damage. From Coronavirus Respecter, free steroids if Corona takes my boys. Gonna have to go to the super mutant mode and start cloning humans. From Perigi Syzygy, a lying dirt man lost me my job in childcare, God's providence, or. Well, I would say kids are a vector, to be honest with you. It seems that while they're unaffected, they don't usually get the nasty symptoms, and almost none of them have died. They probably spread it like you wouldn't believe. So I would be happy that I'm not around children right now because they could be carrying it and nobody would know. I mean, that's part of the reason I think they're closing so many schools down. Is one kid gets it, he spreads it to everybody. They're all asymptomatic, but they get their parents sick. From Dyslexia I Have, so is CoronaGen really lung AIDS? I've been seeing studies that a majority of people who die have massive secondary bacterial infections. Whether were reports coming out of autopsies done on coronavirus patients that were deceased, obviously, describing their lungs as being just horrific. You know, it's like a paste. It's like a gray paste that builds up in their lungs and does not sound pleasant in the least, if I'm being honest with you. What is this? Sean Hiroyuki. I'm a high school janitor and essential. Just finished disinfecting the whole school. We still don't know if we will be off the rest of the time. Umbrella Corp Security. Watch me, or watch the or a bit of DSP 341 meeting. Eric Roney. How did the CCP handle unemployment for all the quarantined citizens, or are the citizens too whipped to care? I believe they had some kind of a food delivery set up, as well as like a rationing system, but I'm not 100% certain, to be honest. From Zach Funk, I think we'd better start calling her Corona Sama if we know what's good for us. Very true. From Dante223, here in the UK, volunteers will deliver food to old people, but if this thing can stay on material for up to 24 to 48 hours, and they do not filter the volunteers, are they going to kill people by accident? That's a good question. I really don't know. From Scott Bird, Jim, if you die before then, can I have the rights to your voice and likeness to keep your Coof streams going in hologram form? Are you going to do like that Jordan Peterson thing where it makes me say horrific shit? Is that going to be my payback for making those WebMs of Jordan? From Y. Jalma, just found out I got denied for unemployment in a place where someone died from health or for health reasons. They're saying it's not Corona. Should I go back to work in 1 week? We are on week 2 of shutdown. Fuck, I'd be nervous as shit, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody wants to voluntarily tell their people, yeah, they dropped dead of Corona. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a hard judgment call, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I'd be scared shitless, to be honest with you. But then again, I've been streaming this stupid shit so much, I've probably gone paranoid with it. Sword and Scale, Adenon did it. Say no to Gino. Yang said Americans would get 1,000. I guess they will get a little more now with this new bill. Well, one time. It's a one-time payment. From John Doe. How can I convince my dad to not work downstate next week? He smokes and has asthma, and I don't want him to die. Show him the Chinese videos. Show them the videos of what it looked like in China. People throwing themselves out of their fucking windows and dropping dead in the street. Show them, footage from the ER in Italy where doctors are crying, where bodies are piled up. I mean, there's footage out there. It is suppressed to some degree, but it's out there showing the reality of what it looks like when it gets bad. Or even just read a few testimonials from people that went through it and how fucking awful it is. Even from people that had quote unquote mild cases of it. From Black Cube Mystery. Have you seen the Chinese talking about how the coronavirus is a subterfuge for 5G radiation? It seems to be going around on thought spas. I think it's something cooked up in a lab. That's my consistent thought on it. I could be wrong. I mean, we'll find out eventually. But yeah, I just I think it's lab grown. From Daniel, I work in a grocery store and people are stealing TP. The Boston mayor is saying, let's not blame anyone, and I'm watching the fire burn. From Arias Rofocail, some reports do say Corona Chan spares smokers. From John Watkins, COVID-19 has been making me feel so helpless and not sure if all of us are even going to make it through this. Well, it's easy to get down on it, but it's the world's best shit show to watch. You're never going to see something like this again. Hopefully we don't. From Spud Nux, Corona Chan is like the Kenshiro viruses one coof, and shortly after all your organs explode. Just relax, relax, folks. You're already dead. Where can you find the Chinese videos? Your best bet to find those would be, I'm going to say on Twitter, because Twitter seems to be fairly lenient about allowing them up. Same with the Italian videos. You could also try, I mean, maybe people are putting up live leaks would be a good check. And maybe World Star Hip Hop, people might have been sneaking them up on there. Those would be your three best bets. You're not going to find them really on YouTube because YouTube takes it down. Facebook is taking shit down pretty quick too. From a J House Rock, used to make hydrochloroquine, and I can't pronounce it, but it's the antibiotic. Until our plant closed in the U.S. because Trump opened our new markets to lower prices. Now it's made in China. From Peter P, 23 million phones went dark. They need to do. They need their phone to do everything. RIP. From Kumbala 1 on Sun, are you going to cover the 21 million phones? Yes, we'll talk about it. Chemtrail Mix, have you heard the rumor about Chinese companies selling used clothes and cheap garbage bags? And we finally made our way back. I think I've hit everybody. Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats, and then we'll close it up. The denied for unemployment, and then, well, there was a message from John Doe, but its message retracted, so I guess we'll never know. Well, folks, I hopefully Sunday I should have everything prepared. We'll have all the interesting videos and news articles and all that stuff and really cover up on the details of what the hell's been going on for the past month as shit gets more out of control. Stay safe out there. If you got a mask, wear a mask, wash your hands, wear gloves if you can get them. If you can apply for unemployment insurance, go for it. I guess your checks are coming, the $1,200 to $2,400, depending if you're single or married, are coming on the 18th of April from the government. And I don't know. Just avoid crowds, and hopefully you're prepped enough, and you can ride it out. And best of luck to everyone. Yeah, it's surreal watching this play itself out. A few to close it out here. From Gilcado, videos in Indonesia of people just falling over in the streets. Yeah, we saw that in China. It's a common thing. Otto Cannon, my parents keep telling me that the most people who get infected are just fine and 80% can just stay home and it's fine. I'm not sure exactly why they believe that. I've given up on arguing with folks. Well, some people have to learn the hard way, which is sad but true. Death Network's X says she has it. How much of a Kiant is she? She has COVID? I'd probably hold off on visiting. From Suda Off the Cuff, please play that song. And dyslexia I have. Switzerland reporting the French-speaking Swiss are significantly more likely to die than the German-speaking Swiss. Maybe Hitler was onto something. Well, interesting outlook from Switzerland. I'm actually going to end this on something more uplifting. Since we're talking about safety and survival, I know what we're going to end this on. The most proper song we can end it on. Sorry, I'm starting to lose the ability to speak. So let's end it with a classic. Stay safe out there.